Yo, what's good? Welcome to Observing the Process. Before we start, I'm hoping you can help me out by supporting the show. You can rate and review it on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. You can share it with your friends, you can blog about it, or discuss it on your own podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to my channel and like this video, or you can support it directly. You can do this by going to my website. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you for supporting the show. Listeners like you make it possible. Today on the show, I had John Skvarla. John and I both share the same hometown of Seacliff. John is about 15 years older than me, so it was really fun to talk about the differences and similarities 15 years can have on a hometown. BMX and trail riding is a big part of John's life. If you follow trail riding at all, you would know about the infamous Kiko trails. John actually takes a lot of pride in building and maintaining those. It was really cool to learn about the whole culture of trail riding and its history. Please give it up for John Skvarla.
In the land of China, people hardly got nothing at all.
No possessions?
And in China, they never go to church.
No religion too?
Or do magic.
Well, it's easy if you try, Dick.
3, 2, 1. John, how are you doing? Thank you for inviting me to your space.
Good to see you again, Alex.
Yeah. This is a super awesome space. I just got into Seacliff last night Monday, and took a walk with my mom, and I was just like reminded of how amazing Seacliff is and seeing all like the cool parks and all of that. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about first as we get started, because I guess we're both from Seacliff. So, what is special to you about Seacliff and like kind of your first memories, all that?
First memories are probably being down at Seacliff Beach with my mom. My mom taking me and my brothers down there and just spending all day of the summer in the sand, in the water, just walking around town.
Mm.
But I'll tell everyone else, everyone's very, very friendly here. It's community is like the big thing in Seacliff. It's a very strong community.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I remember, even like going to Seacliff school and all that. And I came across on your YouTube channel, Humpty, what was it called? Humpty Hump Edit.
Yeah. That one's a classic. That's a good one. That's 2 VCRs and the aux in, the audio in. It's that was riding, us, I guess, before we realized what street riding was. That was us, a bunch of guys with race backgrounds kind of goofing around in the nearest city, which I guess we thought was street. Glen Cove, just kind of bunny hopping up on ledges and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
So you would go, because most of it looked like Seacliff School, actually.
Oh, there was definitely some little curb cuts at Seacliff School. Yeah. It was just getting the video camera and going around town and not knowing what we were doing. It's also like the middle of the 90s. We were just stoked on anything. If you
It was middle of the 90s, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because I was even looking at the video, and the parking lot is like, that's where the playground is.
Yep.
It's just completely different from what it is now.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that with filming, and like how'd you get your first video camera? Like, what was that like?
The first video camera was the family video camera. It was my family, we were big on BMX racing, so we would go to the BMX races, and then it was customary for all the families to film their kids racing, so you have those memories and you can go back and you can watch the race. So it was like the family video camera that when you weren't at the racetrack, you took it out and you experimented with it. So I guess it was like the little tapes that went into the big tapes. Like it was like VHS-C. So that was the first time like really using like video cameras.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me about racing, because that seems to be your first introduction to biking rather than like BMX and.
Yeah, when I got into BMX, racing was the structured part of the sport that everyone did. There wasn't trail riding really. It was, I guess, a little bit of underground street somewhere, but like if you bought a BMX magazine, it was, a racer on the cover and the sponsored guys were racers. So like, that's kind of what we knew. Like pro BMX riders were racers.
Okay.
So, that's what we strived for. And everyone we looked up to were racers, and there's a local track that still runs today out in Shoreham. So
Oh, Shoreham. That's
Yeah.
what on your YouTube channel. Is that most of the stuff that, or is it a different spot?
that's Shoreham. If there's a BMX race, that is at Shoreham. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, for years, I started racing when I was 13.
Hmm.
So, just trying to get good at racing. And then at some point there was a transition where racing stopped becoming as fun as it used to be.
Hmm.
And, it kind of, there wasn't any there was nothing really exciting about it. There wasn't like a good culture to it.
Maybe less creativity than.
Yeah. So then we kind of veered away from that and we started doing our own thing, which was more trail riding. We always rode trails because trails was what you did to practice for a race. Like trails were, jumps in the woods and, practice on them, practice doing jumps. But then also you start doing tricks and you start doing other stuff. So that was more of the creative outlet. And then at some point in the late 90s, early 2000s, trails became its own thing. And that's kind of like where my friends and I, we excelled at that.
Right.
We were pretty good at racing, but then, we were like the first generation of real trail riders.
Oh.
So it changed. And, that's, what we're known for more. But yeah, the background definitely started in racing.
Yeah. It's funny. I went to Woodward a bunch as a kid, and to my understanding, Camp Woodward was founded through gymnastics and racing.
Yep.
So did you ever go to Woodward, or did you ever
I went to Woodward a few times on some road trips as a guest with some pros, but that was after, it was a long time after the racetrack was gone. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, they still obviously have some, kind of like pump tracks and stuff like that, but maybe not nearly as, focused on racing as it was back in the day.
Yeah, they had a full-on sanctioned racetrack with a starting hill and a gate, and they had nationals there.
Wow.
And then at some point that shut down, and then they went on in their direction with, freestyle BMX.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just like Woodward was such an amazing place for me as a kid. So blessed to have had that. But in contrast, I feel like I didn't have much here in Long Island for skateboarding.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess for you, you kind of had that growing up. You had this outlet of racing, and the community seemed pretty cool when I watched the video. Your parents are into it. I don't know. Is it just something you look back fondly on, or?
Yeah, well, BMX racing, it was good. It is a very family oriented sport. A lot of families do it, and the track is perfect for that.
Right.
And so that's something that you can go do that. But besides the racetrack on Sunday mornings, same thing. There was not a lot to ride. There was no skate parks, but my friends and I, we went and built trails. We went in the woods, and we're like, all right, we're gonna make our own stuff.
So you were doing this, we'll get into Kiko a little bit more down the line, but so you were doing this before Kiko, before what was your first spots?
Yeah.
What spots were you building at?
The first spot we built jumps at was a spot called the Methodist Church Trails.
Really?
Yeah.
Methodist Church. Oh, the one
On
right next to the golf course,
yep,
right?
Carpenter and down,
okay.
Yep. Right
Built
there.
out there. That's a cool spot.
There was BMX trails back in those woods behind there.
So what
the
decade
80s.
or what year are we
80s.
looking at?
These are the 80s.
Okay, so mid 80s?
Yeah, late 80s.
Okay.
So probably went back there for the first time 87.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Methodist. Because for me,
there's videos of that too.
that's interesting. For me, that area is okay. So my homie Pierce did Kumon there at the Methodist church. They math or whatever. So I did that. For me, that's downhill sledding and the golf course, breaking into that and stuff.
Across from there.
But
so before going into those trails, my friends and I would ride our bikes around, and we had BMX bikes. We've never seen dirt jumps, and we never saw a racetrack, but we kind of had an instinct that there had to be something, something to ride on. And then one day, a friend of mine, we were at Seacoff School, and these older kids came over, and we had some cap guns, and one of the older kids came over and stole our cap gun, and we were so we chased them, and we chased them all the way from Seacoff School to Methodist church, and the kid went into this trail into the woods, and we were like, "Oh, where's he going?" But we followed him, and then we got in there, and I'm about 11 at this point,
Okay.
and these kids are like 13, 14, 15,
Mm.
and we get into the woods, and then we see like 20 teenagers and a whole bunch of like crappy little dirt jumps, and they were jumping off of them, and then that was kind of like the first introduction to like actually
Wow.
being more than just having a BMX bike and riding it around in the the playground of Sequel School.
Hmm. Yeah, for skateboarding, it's kind of like we're looking strictly for street spots. I guess with BMX, like sure, like today you'll get into, maybe stairs or like urban riding, but back then I guess you had to build your own spots. That's quite a bit different from skating, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's on the trails side, yeah. On the street side, it's exactly the same as
Yeah,
skateboarding.
exactly the
Yeah.
same. Yeah, for us, it was Seacliff School. Like that was my
Yep.
first spot, pretty much. Steve Rydbecky was the dude in town who
Yep.
was like, he is the best in town. Like for
Yep.
me, I'm in school, I guess, '06 to I graduated in 2010. And I got into skating, way back but like for me, street skating, it was because I saw Steve Rydbecky and he was doing like crazy good flat ground tricks, and Seacliff School Blacktop, that was the spot. We called it the bump.
Yep.
I don't know if you called it the bump.
Yeah, where the sidewalk went up into the street.
Yeah, went up into the
It
street.
just had a little angle up.
Yeah,
Yep.
try and like
Yep.
clear the handicap, do
Yep.
tricks off the
I know
bump.
that spot.
And I don't know if it's still a wooden it was like a wooden ledge. I would get nose slides on that. That whole little area was my spot growing up. Yeah, yeah. So I guess past building jumps, more about Seacliff. For people who don't know, Seacliff is just like a hippie town, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, 1 square mile, old Victorian houses. Well, not every house is Victorian, but there's a lot of,
It's known
houses.
for Victorian
Yeah,
houses.
a lot of 125-year-old houses
Mm.
on a cliff overlooking Hempstead Harbor. Um, back in the day, it was a campground for Methodist retreats, and then in the '60s, it was like a hippie haven.
Hmm.
A lot of the houses were rented out to hippies, like for
Did
nothing.
your parents
for
grow
dirt.
up in Seacliff as well?
No, my parents were from Oyster Bay and Levittown.
So Long Island still,
Yep.
though.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because I kind of wanted to go through like for high school, we had, I don't know if it for me, like Halloween was a very interesting thing. Like we had something called Mischief Night. And I think that's pretty universal to the country, maybe, to
Yeah.
do like silly shit before Halloween and get hectic. But I'm wondering if like you remember those days.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Like Halloween for North Shore High School, people would go to Hill Terrace. There was
What's Hill Terrace?
it's just a neighborhood in Glen Head.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know why they went to that neighborhood,
Hmm.
but there was eggmobiles. There was it was mayhem.
Mm.
Like whatever it was when you were there, I'm pretty sure it was kind of gnarlier
Hill Terrace.
back then. Like there was
I'm sure I feel like it always progressively gets like more PC over time and
Yeah.
regulated and
Yeah.
less intense.
There was, I think, 3 years in a row where I went to either the hospital or the police station
Oh my
on
god.
Halloween. Yeah. It was
Damn.
it was pretty crazy. I'm glad it's not like that anymore because
Yeah.
it was pretty
A
crazy.
little hectic. Like for us, it was just kind of like egging houses, like TPing. One thing that I remembered, I wanted, like, it was a tradition in Seacliff Elementary School every year. I think it was, I don't know which teacher it was, but they would build a teepee across the street from the elementary school. And
remember seeing
during
that.
my time, it was like a tradition, like some kids would burn it down every year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happened during your generation at all.
Nah.
Damn, yeah, that was pretty wild times. Like they would just like burn down this teepee that they would build for some class like across the street.
Yeah, I do remember that happening. I remember seeing the teepee and then also seeing it burnt.
Mm. And also, was Mini Mart going on? Like when did it hit Mini Mart? I know you're quite involved with Mini Mart. Or I actually don't know that, but I feel like I've seen you selling shirts and stuff like that. So what are your first memories of Mini Mart?
First memories of Mini Mart was being a kid and having this big fair going on, and my parents being like, "Here's $5, like go have fun,"
Yeah.
and like coming back like 10 minutes later and being like, "I need more money," because $5 doesn't really get
Run
you
through
very
it real quick.
very far at Mini Mart. But And then when I got into making T-shirts, I had this idea for a design, a shirt that said Seacliff on it, and
Mm,
so I made up that shirt, and then Mini Mart was coming around, and I was like, well, maybe I could sell some of these at Mini Mart,
mm,
and just totally having no idea if I'd sell any or a bunch, and fill out the application, got a spot across from the children's library, and they were like a huge hit.
mm.
Like I sold out, and that's going back maybe almost 15 years ago.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
you've been involved for quite a while.
Yeah, making T-shirts, a novelty line shirts that say Seacliff on them, because
Mm,
I feel like the people that live here in Seacliff, like, you know, the people who grew up here, but also the people that have moved here, everyone has a lot of pride,
mm.
you know, and it's also like if you live in Seacliff, you made it, like the houses are super expensive,
Yeah,
you know, so
definitely.
people, it doesn't translate over the same to other towns.
For sure. There's something super special about Seacliff that I can't quite put my finger on, but I mean, like the types of people that live here, for example, like even Natalie Portman had a house here for a
Yep.
little bit.
Yeah.
Andy Aladort,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's a
World
legend.
class guitarist. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having him on the show this Saturday.
Awesome.
Super excited for
Awesome,
that.
dude. I make his t-shirts
That's what's
and
up.
he's an awesome dude.
And
Yeah.
he's legend. Yeah, there's just something that's really like okay. So Long Island generally has some negative stereotypes, I think.
Oh, totally.
To the whole country.
Yeah,
And like when
totally.
I went away to college, it was my first experience learning like, oh, you're from Long Island. Like,
Yeah. It's
who
almost
are
like
you?
Jersey Shore.
Yeah, yeah, it has
Yeah.
negative stereotypes, but like Seacliff does not like
People don't understand.
does not match up to
No.
what the rest of Long Island
Not at
maybe
all.
is.
Not at all.
I don't know why that is, but yeah. So anyway, Seacliff. I mean, like for example, we got these amazing parks. Like I don't know of any other city like 1 square mile
16 parks.
16 parks that are just like and people like the Lennons take really good pride in maintaining the park across the street from their house.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite parks in town?
Man, I don't know, I mean, you got to go with the classic hippie park.
Yeah,
You catch
sure.
a
That
sunset.
has to be
You
like
catch a sunset at Hippie Park in the summer. That's pretty awesome.
yeah, for
Um, and then there's like the lesser known ones. There's Spooky Park
sure.
down
That's the
on,
one that I was just talking about with
That's
Mr. Lennon.
probably down
Yeah.
on like Dayton, I think.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
one with the maze.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Mike Lennon, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah.
yeah, I
So
know Mike. Yep.
He lives right across the
Right.
street, and he like it has the maze. You were just saying,
Yep.
yeah, that was a super. We did some sledding at that one. That was a really cool one because it was like it's kind of terraced as you go down, like had layers
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
So we would build like a little snowboard like park kind of, and Wyatt, Andy's son,
Yeah, I know
took
why.
the gnarliest spill one year. Like scooter handlebars went like through his lip. It was
Ugh.
crazy. But yeah, totally so many fond memories of different parks, like exploring and
Yeah,
all that.
we tried to build BMX jumps in that park.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It was like I mean,
That's a little more intense because you're digging up the ground and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. This was, I mean, obviously this is a really long time ago, and the park was kind of like deserted, abandoned. It's not like it is today. We were like, oh, this is a
Oh.
good place. We were dumb. We were like, yeah, this seems like a good place. We'll get away with this here.
Oh,
And so yeah, we made like a jump, like down one set, and then covered the other set of stairs with dirt.
okay.
And then we told like these, me and my friend Dan that did it, we told the older kids about it, and then they went there and
Mm.
like to ride it, and then the cops came
Oh
and
my
like
god.
they were like trying to figure out like who did it, and like luckily
Yeah.
the older guys like didn't rat us out. They were like,
Mm.
I don't know, we were just riding down the street,
Right.
and then we realized like we were so young that we're like 11 or 12, we didn't know any better,
right.
but
right.
yeah, realize you can't just go and turn a public park into your own trails.
Yeah, these are the things you got to learn as a kid. I
Yeah.
mean, I can remember getting into trouble with like throwing snowballs at cars, and Seacliff just was really one of those towns where I feel super lucky to have grown up here. And
Me too,
I feel like so
for
much
sure.
like coming of age like happened in this town. I guess like everyone feels this about their hometown, but it's cool to talk to you who like grew up maybe like 15 years difference, and
Yeah,
to hear that it's like similar experience, like it just like has this history of a
I totally, like, I can't imagine. I'm like not knocking any other towns on Long Island, but there are
Mhm.
some that suck, like,
Mhm.
some South Shore towns are pretty bad. Like, you imagine like just growing up over there,
Right.
I don't think me or you would be the same people.
Definitely.
I think the town and the people in the town and the community definitely shaped who we've become.
I remember being able to walk to elementary school as a kid, and I mean, as young as like second grade, I was only like 3 blocks down, and it is the community is super welcoming, and it goes to show with like the mini mart and other stuff that's going on, and I come to appreciate it so much more after living in a major city like Shanghai. It's like kind of the polar opposite
Oh,
of what
totally.
a small town community is,
Totally,
like
totally.
Seacliff is. And yeah, man, I guess it's interesting that like you've stuck around and you like it's you've developed something really cool like this t-shirt printing business, and like BMX is a big part of your life. And
Yeah, but similar to you, like I didn't always have the appreciation that I have now.
mm,
Like, when I was in my late 20s, I wanted nothing more than to get out of here.
right,
And so I moved to Brooklyn and I lived in Prospect Heights for a year.
okay,
And I'm like, oh, there's things to do every night. There's all this stuff going on. There's nothing
mm,
going on in Seacliff. And then after a year, my family's here in Seacliff.
mm,
My BMX trails are here. My business is here. And I kind of got over Brooklyn and,
mm.
having to drive around for 45 minutes to look for a parking spot. And there was a shootout while we were hanging out on the stoop across the street.
Jesus.
Yeah, like, and then at that point, I was like, my screen printing press was back here,
Mm,
and I was like, all right, I moved back, and definitely at that point had a whole new appreciation for it.
mm.
It just took a while
Yeah, yeah.
to
You
get
know
that.
what's
When you're older,
interesting?
you figure it out
The
more.
Seacliff, it actually has like so many bars on one street.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
many other towns in Long Island
Yeah, I
have
mean, there's like
that?
one main street, but there's
Yeah.
like at least five places that you can go to, and they're all good, but they're all different. They all have a different flavor.
Definitely. So tell me, give a breakdown to the audience. What do we got on Main Ave?
I mean, on Seacliff Ave.
Seacliff Ave, right?
All right. We're gonna have to go to the go-to first, which would be Casey Gallagher's.
Yup.
That's the spot. It's an old Irish pub. Kind of a dive, but not in a bad way. You can get some greasy food, cheap jukebox, pretty cheap beers, and it's always pretty casual, and everyone in there is always chill with each other. Like there's a very wide variety of different type of people, but it
Hmm.
seems like everyone knows each other, and
Yeah.
it's just super diverse. And then they got their Monday night wing special,
Yeah, that's
which
a
is like
classic, for sure.
that's what they're known for. Big Dane bartends, Big Dane bartends there on Monday night and holds it down. It's always a good time. He'll turn up the jukebox for you.
Yeah, Dane's such a good dude. I was just out surfing with him this morning.
That's awesome.
Yeah, such a good dude.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So we got galleys.
And then you also got Still Partners,
Mhm.
which is another go-to, another classic. A bunch of my friends work there. My other friends own the place. And they've taken very good care of me.
It's interesting that they've kind of turned that place around a little, because for me, when I'm growing up, all bars look a little sketchy when I'm like under 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
But
So you're talking about the old partners.
yeah, so
for the old owners.
yeah, well, also new owners.
Yes.
There were different owners.
Yes, and the old owners,
It looked like a sketchy. I don't know.
yeah, no,
man.
that was the real dive. But
Yeah.
was also taken care of very well by the old owners. The old owner, her name is Joy,
Okay.
and she's like an aunt to me. She's
Okay.
like best friends with my mom, and I was always taken care of there. So one year I was supposed to do the mini mart, and for whatever reason I slacked. I forgot. I didn't hand in my application in time, and all the spots were full. So I lost my spot, which originally was across from the children's library.
Ah.
So I was like all bummed out. I'm like, oh, what the hell am I going to do? And I went into, I just happened to be in Partners, and I was talking to Joy, and I was like, I messed up. I don't have a spot for Mini Mart. And she's like, oh, just take the spot out front. She's like, well, we don't use it. You use it. That's your spot now.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So like that was one of the best mistakes I've ever made, because I went from having a shitty spot down the street to having like the prime real
That's
estate
a very prime. That's like kind of
in
like
town.
actually like if you're looking at it as a hill, like that's the top, kind of
Yep.
like a
Yep. So that's the best spot. And then
wow.
from there, my t-shirt sales at Mini Mart have always just every year it's grown and grown. It's become, a bigger thing than I thought it would be. It's a lot of work and sometimes a pain in the ass and stressful. But then Joy retired. She sold the place, I think, about 7 years ago to Dan and Ray, who are they were, best friends, and so they kept the name Partners,
Yeah,
but just
still
added Still Partners.
Mm.
And when Joy was selling it to them, Joy had said to them, like, it'd be very cool if you could let Soups continue to have the spot. And I already had a relationship with them. Dan owns the house across the street from my parents. So they were like, oh yeah, that's fine. So they, I got grandfathered into that spot. So same thing there. Like they take very, very, very good care of me there. So, and that place is great. They got live music. Andy plays there all the time. They bring in, world-class musicians.
Yeah, it's a really good spot. Every time I come home for Christmas, in the summer, of course, too, but at Christmas time, it's cool to see. Like, it's funny. Like for me, it like almost faded out a little bit, though. Every like in early college, coming back home, like big reunion time to go, because when you're in high school, like I'm not necessarily going to the bars, easily.
Yeah.
but like coming home from college, like everyone's going to the bars at that point, and really, really special vibe at Still Partners.
Yeah. Especially like I guess for you visiting Thanksgiving Eve and the holidays and stuff.
Thanksgiving is a big one.
That happens to be the spot where like your generation and everyone would go when they come home. And if there's a line to get outside, they end up at Gallagher's.
Exactly.
Which is what happened on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and so there's Gallagher's, and then there's also that one. Well, I guess there's what's a weird one? Some guy, I think he just like bought a space.
That's Woodpecker Hall.
Okay,
Yeah,
so tell me about that. Are you in the know?
Yeah, so
are you
that
on the
guy
list to get into Woodpecker?
You have to know him. His name is Bill Long.
Okay.
He's a very successful business guy. I think he had he might have some toy businesses or something to do with communications and electronics and navigation on buses when GPS first started coming out or something. Anyway, he's set. He's got a lot of money, and he owns those buildings over there, and they were like falling apart. And then we decided he wanted to do something with them, so he renovated the buildings, and he rents one out for, I guess, a lawyer's office and apartments, and then the other building he kept it as his office. And he didn't want to deal with trying to get a liquor license and having the public come in. So he built a full-on bar.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it from the sidewalk.
But it's totally private. Yeah.
It's so cool. It's like such a baller move to make your own bar and just like, fuck it. It's just for me.
It's not open for the public. Yeah, it's just for him and his friends.
Yeah.
And sometimes people they think it's there and they try to go in and they're like, no, this ain't a bar, man. This is my office.
This is my office.
This is my hangout. This is my spot. But he's also cool. Like sometimes, once in a while, he will open up to the public. And then it's since he doesn't have a liquor license, he can't sell beer, so he just gives it out.
Just gives it out.
Yeah.
Wow. Woodpecker Hall.
Yeah. So that's few and far between. That happens, here and there. It's here and there that happens. And then there's the other spots. There's Metropolitan Bistro, which is across the street.
That's a good. My dad plays bass guitar there.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
He plays with some other. He has a little band going on, and I don't know. I love that my dad. He picked up bass guitar when he was in his like mid 50s or early 50s.
Wow.
And he's just like so diligent with it. That's like all he does.
Yeah.
He doesn't have friends. He just plays bass.
Wow.
And he goes and Metropolitan. He's played at Partners. He's played down by Seacliff Beach. I think that's like another low key one to talk about. It's not necessarily a bar, but it's like, dude, Seacliff has so much.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. The summers are great, But yeah, Metropolitan Bistro has great music acts there too, and it's spacious. And then, like you said, during the summer they have what's called Summer Serenade in the park. In Hippie Park, they have
that too.
Yeah, there's music up there. While the sun sets on the cliff, and then there's every Friday night there's music that plays on the beach.
Yeah, they built this beautiful pavilion or whatever you want to call it, like a stadium, like a stage. Let's call it a stage.
Yeah, stage on the beach. Yeah, that's great too.
Yeah. Last summer, me and my fam, we brought lawn chairs. You go there, you just chill. Like my dad was playing with his band, and you see some old friends. It's just really cool. Really cool to have that. And then there's also the Oak Room, I guess. That's one of the other ones.
Yeah, there's the Oak Room Tavern.
That's relatively new, right?
I think
Relatively. Compared to the other bars.
They've been around. I think they've been around for 7 years now.
Yeah. You know, Metropolitan actually used to be called Cosmopolitan. Is that true? Or
No, I think it was Harlequins.
Harlequin?
No, before that it was Tupelo Honey.
Tupelo Honey. That's what
Tupelo
I'm
Honey, and then
yeah.
before that it was Harlequin, and Oak Room was Roots, and before that it was Costello's. And Costello's was kind of like Gallagher's. It was like an old. It was like an old pub.
Yeah, yeah. For me, by far, Gallagher's is like the number one because Kem Victoria.
Yeah,
his dad.
Yeah, Johnny V.
Yeah, Johnny V.
Yep.
He would always bartend there, and you know the bouncer.
Sal.
Sal.
Yeah.
Sal. He's such a
pain in
legendary
the ass,
crowd.
Sal.
Yeah.
God.
Such a like a funny scene down there. I don't know how to explain it.
I don't know. My friends and I don't get along with Sal very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's hard to deal with. Try to avoid him at all costs.
Yeah, man. Gallagher's too funny.
Yeah, Gallagher's they give you a long leash, you know, like you can get a little bit looser there than you can get anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good way to put it. So going back to, I want to talk about high school a little bit. Do you remember any? I'm curious if there's any teachers that overlapped maybe your time to mine.
I don't know. I mean,
do you remember? As I'm asking you this question, do you remember your high school teachers? I can barely remember. All of mine.
Not all of them, but maybe like half.
Anyone that
30%.
Like
I don't see that
highlights.
Probably not, because I know when I was the years that I was there, 89 to 93.
Okay.
They were all retiring. So like
a lot were retiring.
Yeah, my senior year, like there was like dozens of teachers that retired that year.
Okay.
Dr. Stark was one teacher, history teacher, he was an awesome guy. I didn't enjoy high school. I didn't go to North Shore Middle School or Seco School. I went to St. Boniface till 8th grade.
That was an option, or like
no,
was it private?
That was private school.
Yeah,
private school. My parents
St.
thought
Boniface.
That's like the orange. It's attached to where the church is.
Yeah,
the big orange school that's behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents thought that that you'd get a better education at private school, but I think they had really good intentions, but it really wasn't the case. So by the time it was time for me to go to high school,
you're meeting all new people, and it's like
some of my friends from St. Boniface ended up going to Catholic high schools and living in Seco. I had some friends that were going to go to North Shore, and I was like, all right, I'll just go to North Shore. It'd probably be better. But it was a tough transition. I knew literally 2 people in my class going in, and I was also behind. Like the education wasn't up to par at St. Boniface, so it took me like pretty much all 4 years of high school to catch up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have any teachers that like what you would consider maybe a mentor, or that, like you said, Mr. Stark or
Dr. Stark was a cool guy. I mean, I didn't get too like close with the teachers. I was just kind of like, get my work done, get the minimum done I can to pass so that I can go home and ride my BMX bike.
I feel you.
Yeah.
North Shore had a reputation, I think, this is like way back. I've heard stories in like the 60s and maybe 70s that like they would even like grow weed plants in the courtyard and shit like that.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. That's completely plausible.
Yeah, dude. It's one of those schools that was kind of, I think, had a reputation with other schools for being kind of like, even in the school, in the movie, what's the name of that movie with Lindsay Lohan and Mean Girls? And in this movie, Mean Girls, the name of the school that she attends, and if you didn't see this movie, the premise is that like she moves into the school. She's like from Africa, and she moves in, and all the students are total like bitches, and it's cliquing, whatever. The name of the school is called North Shore High School.
Oh.
And it's based off of actually North Shore High School.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
So it's like kind of, it's crazy. And Mean Girls is like super pop culture today with my generation at least. And so to think that we went there and like there's all these stories that I hear about. It's too funny. Did you guys have a senior prank?
Yep. It was definitely senior prank day. I mean, I think I've heard the stories, the same thing about the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And I have friends, who are 10 years older than me, and they went to North Shore High School. And at that point, the legal age to drink was 18,
Right.
and there was a bar across the street. So like there'd be seniors that would have off period, and they'd go
Damn.
across the street and they drink. And sometimes the teachers would be there drinking with them too.
Wow.
And then they changed the age to 21. And when I was there from 89 to 93, like I was small for my age. I was,
Mm.
I was also like the youngest in my grade. And I walk in and like, there's guys with Firebirds and heavy metal
Mm.
blasting and like leather jackets,
It was definitely one of these like stereotypical high schools with cliques and like some people like I didn't have a car the whole time, but it was kind of like if you didn't have a car, it was like a thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just had
Oh no,
that
it was no,
vibe.
it was definitely very clicky.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's still like that now. You know, I don't know if what schools are like now. It's been
Of course, it's been
yeah.
so
But I
long.
mean I know it's completely changed a lot. Like even
Mm.
from, being friends with like Paul Savikovich and seeing what his experience was
Yeah.
there, like when I went, there was one other BMX rider in the whole school, my
Mm.
friend Dan Bailey. And so we were like outcasts. And then there was two skateboarders that we were friends with.
Wow.
So it was like, the two skateboarders and two BMX riders were friends. And then
Mm.
when by the time Paulie went to school, it seemed like BMX and skateboarding were more popular than football.
Wow.
I remember seeing him riding around town and like having like 30 Groms following him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know. I believe it, but at the same time, for my grade, my specific grade, there weren't that many people that skated. I definitely got shit for like bringing a skateboard into school, and I think there was waves throughout my life where skateboarding was cool, and I'm pretty proud of myself that like I loved it so much that I'd never let any of that affect me. I was just always into it
Yep.
for skateboarding, but yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you was like, for us, the deli across the street, like we were called like deli kids. Like we would just like I didn't really smoke cigarettes in high school, but like it was just kind of like it was a weird phase for me because they were like my friends, but I didn't necessarily want to hang out there because you like gained a reputation from being
Yeah.
there and like just being associated with them. But that's like where all my skate friends hung out. And it was like, I don't know, for me, that was like a moment of contemplation. Like, what am I gonna do? Was Deli Kids a thing for you? Or like was there a place you guys hung out? Or
Well,
so I'm talking
yeah.
about like, there's a gas station and then to the
yeah,
right
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, no, I
the
know
deli.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never hung out at the deli. I never even got food at the deli.
Mm.
My parents would give me $1.30 for lunch. Like that's how much the school lunch
Right,
cost.
right,
And they'd give me they'd give me $2.
right. Okay.
So I'd keep the 70 cents.
Yeah.
And like every 3 days I'd have like, an extra $2.10. I could like get something extra.
Sure,
So
sure.
like I wasn't I couldn't afford the deli.
I
But
don't
yeah,
think many of my friends could afford the deli.
yeah, but
We
that's where
would
people
sit
hung out.
outside
And there was
smoke
like,
cigarettes.
there was like the girl cliques that hung out.
Huh.
And then back then too, like that's where that's where the fights would happen,
Oh,
Glen
yeah,
Cove,
for sure, for
a
sure.
car full of Glen Cove kids would show up and be like, oh, we're gonna whoop ass on some North Shore pussies
Mm.
and like jump out of the car and start fights,
Definitely. That's funny. You're reminding me of for me in high school, I always didn't find my place minus the skateboarding. I always had skateboarding friends. But until senior year, everything came together for me. And then even like my first, you reminded me like meeting people from Glen Cove. That was an interesting experience. I never thought I would be friends with someone from another school. Yeah, I don't know if that like rings any bells with you, but like meeting people from another school was a totally unique experience for me and was like almost I think my first. I look at my growth as a person in terms of like moving and experiencing new culture, not cultures, but like, going to college and like seeing new people. But now that I even think about it, meeting someone from Glen Cove or becoming friends with that friend, going to parties at a Glen Cove party
Yeah.
was like, whoa, this is different. This is weird. I don't know if you,
Yeah,
ever
no, we
did
never
stuff
we
like that.
never did that.
Yeah.
We never did that. It was like it took a lot for me to become friends with North Shore kids.
Right.
And to go to North Shore parties. And like I didn't drink till I was 23.
Okay.
So it was like we'd go to parties and just people would be on a different plane of existence than, I'd never really
Oh,
we,
yeah.
we'd go there and be like hang out because we had nothing to do, but it didn't click the same. It wasn't the same for us,
Yeah. I mean, like, I look at it as a pro and con. Like, I grew into myself in senior year. I'm thankful I at least got like 1 year where I felt like I was myself and I made friends. And now I like when I see people from high school, I'm really comfortable. But it's almost like, damn, I was like so in my own bubble for so long and like not comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to look back and see like how much I've grown from even like those times.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we pretty much crushed high school and all that stuff. So move like I guess we could jump into Kiko Trails because that like we like or actually rather maybe talk about after high school. So you mentioned you went to Brooklyn. Was this
That was
direct?
way later.
So what was
Late
like
20s.
what was stuff like after high school? Did you go to college? Did you what were you into?
Yeah, after high school, not knowing what I wanted to do,
Hmm.
like a lot of people out of high school,
Sure.
like just follow the path that almost everyone does is go to Nassau Community College.
Okay.
So ended up doing that, took a whole bunch of courses and it was a little bit too much too soon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, also I still didn't have it in me. I still didn't have like the concentration. All I wanted to do was ride my bike
Mm.
and you know, being 17 years old and you know, I was 17 first, you know, going into college and just I wasn't down for it. So I went for one semester, full time for one semester. Then I think I cut the classes in half
Mm.
and went a little bit less and you know, but was still racing BMX and still riding trails and also like you know, working some part-time jobs and not really, you know, I really just wanted to ride and it was hard to concentrate on going to Nassau too. And also it's hard when I'm almost everyone else there was in the same position. Like you're in a class, you know, with 30 people and none of them want to be there.
Mm.
So I was in a lot of classes with people where the kids are goofing off, the teacher's pissed. So like it wasn't very wasn't really productive then.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nassau, if you don't like you're not there for a pure reason, it's kind of like I even though it worked out for me, I totally wish I did a gap year
Yeah.
after high school.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's so for me was like just did not make sense to like choose like for example, what happened to me is like I went to University of Rhode Island, studied psychology my first year, and it was not for me. The school wasn't the right fit, psychology wasn't the right fit. Transferred, everything was good. It's like, but you still need that time to figure out what you want to do. Like I don't understand. I think there's too much social pressure to go directly into college,
Oh, yeah.
especially for Americans.
Oh
I think
yeah,
in Europe,
totally.
a lot of people they take these gap years and a lot all over the world more so. I mean, maybe it's becoming more acceptable now to take gap years, but it just seems silly to jump into something
Yeah.
that you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, so for I ended up finishing Nassau, but it was about 9 years later. Like I
No.
just Nassau's a 2-year school. So it took
Yeah.
me 8 years to do the first year.
Right.
And then suddenly something clicked and that the last year I went back like almost full time
Mm.
and took a whole bunch of courses and luckily got good teachers and didn't have a bunch of knuckleheads in the class and it was easy.
Mm.
Like everything just clicked
It's
and it
great.
was like, all right, cool.
What were you studying?
Got that out of the way. Just liberal arts.
Okay.
But one cool thing was I didn't have a computer. I was really into, you know, drawing and art and I wanted to know graphic design,
Mm.
but not having a computer, not having Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, you know, I was kind of screwed. So I would drive to Barnes and Noble and I would look at the book Illustrator, like how to use Adobe Illustrator. And I would read a chapter and try to memorize as much as I could. And then they had a computer lab at Nassau. So I'd go into the computer lab and they had Adobe Illustrator on those computers. So I would just try to remember what I read the night before and
Mm.
mess around with it and learn with it. So like that was what was good about Nassau. It was like trying to find a way to do that, you know. And
That's
then,
too funny, man. To
Yeah.
hear like your DIY. Like for me, it's YouTube.
Yeah, oh
Every
yeah,
day.
now oh my
All
God,
day, every
nowadays.
day.
Nowadays,
YouTube tutorials.
yeah. You know, someone says they can't figure something out. I was like,
Like, do you know
Yeah.
how to search something on YouTube?
yeah, because you could like, yeah, I don't
I even
understand.
feel like a dick sometimes. I'll tell my mom will be like, "How do I print this?" And I'll just be like, "Do you know how to use YouTube? Do you know how to Google?"
Yeah,
Of course, I'm trying to help my
yeah.
mom
Now
out.
you become a professional at things,
Dude,
but yeah,
that's how I've become a
Yeah.
professional at video production and
Yeah.
editing and
yeah,
podcasting. I didn't know shit about how to set this up or
yeah.
do audio production or edit, and like set up the Libsyn account to push this thing out everywhere. Dude, YouTube like has saved lives.
Yeah.
I really think it has built careers, all of
I
that.
can't imagine, being a college kid today and having to go into debt and spend, tens of thousands and,
It's silly.
so much
It's silly.
money. And it's like, I think you just got to jump into something, get your hands on it, try it out, talk to people, watch YouTube videos.
Yeah,
It's like, save yourself a whole lot of time and money, because you're going to
definitely.
go, if you go that other route, you're going to have a whole bunch of crazy debt
Mhm.
and maybe a piece of paper,
Mm.
and maybe there's a job for you, maybe there's not. It just sounds like terrible these days.
Definitely. Like, for example, like purely the liberal arts does not make sense to get a degree. Like,
No.
I have a degree in marketing and business. Like, maybe that makes sense if I'm going for something super specific where you need that. But I didn't take my education as seriously as I should have. Like I could have spent so much more time and energy on, retaining the information, but it was more like I just felt like my goal was to graduate.
Yeah.
That's all I really felt my goal was. But today, like I have friends like who dropped out first year of college, and he's like more successful than I am, I would say.
Yeah.
And he was going to school for video production, but he was so good, he was getting jobs in college, and it just didn't make sense to stay in college and turn down jobs. It's like he already learned and was good at what he needed to do. So it's kind of like for the liberal arts stuff in general in creative fields, I really think you can learn that stuff on YouTube or through video tutorials or through internships, like real work experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be YouTube. It can be real work experience is like a tremendous, like work for free, and you're not spending money on college.
Yeah.
You're getting real work life like experience. Anyways, I think that's a super important thing for anyone who doesn't know whether they really want to go to college just yet. You can do that.
Oh,
Doesn't have to be
totally. Anything that,
200K down the drain.
especially even if there's something that you're interested in and you don't think that there's a career in it,
Mm.
you don't know,
Right.
like you could figure it out.
So we did about 9 years at Nassau. Through that time, I guess you're riding a lot, right?
Yeah,
Or-
riding and racing still, like going to national BMX racing events throughout the country.
Mm.
It's like a series, you travel to races and, try to place as well as you can and get points. And then at the end of the year, there was like a grand national race in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh,
So
really?
like, yeah, so was doing that for, all throughout that time too. So, my parents were awesome to be able to, they were paying for Nassau, obviously it's not crazy expensive, but still it's also not free or cheap.
Mm.
And then also like driving us, to Michigan, driving us to Florida, like whenever there was a big race, they were doing all that. So staying at home and going to Nassau and being able to still travel and BMX race was a plus,
That's awesome. Because something I definitely wanted to talk about is like skateboarding has taken me all over the world. And I guess your first experience with BMX is taking you places, is to these races. You said Michigan, Florida, Kentucky. I've never been to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Tell me about Kentucky.
I mean, it's Louisville's cool. Louisville's like also one of the only states, or I guess it goes by county,
Hmm.
where the bars close at 4.
Oh,
Being from New York, you become accustomed to that.
right.
And then you show up in some other town and it's like, you got there at 12 o'clock and you have like 1 or 2 beers and then it's 1, and they're like, last call. You're like, what, hey, what's going like,
This doesn't make sense.
but yeah, no, Louisville's is a very cool city. The racetrack wasn't in the city, it's a little bit out in the suburbs,
Hmm.
not the suburbs, like a little bit, out of town. But yeah, like same thing, like BMX also has like brought me around the world, and it started like as a kid, being a young kid, and it's like, all right, it got me out of the 2-block radius that I was allowed to
Hmm.
ride my bike in, and it got this. And then I started going down to Methodist Church trails, and then it got me like out of Seacliff and out of Nassau County, and it was at the Shore and BMX racetrack, and then I got
Mm.
better at racing, and then it was like, now you're going to go to a national event in
Mm.
like Connecticut, and then you go to further nationals, and then the world championships were in Michigan, and then when racing stopped and got into riding trails, we went to England and we went to a trade show and we rode trails in England and,
wow.
and did all that. And then it started, going, the older you got and the more friends you made and the different directions you went in away from racing and trails and that, you branched off and, literally went farther, farther away.
Wow. Yeah, man. It's amazing what these things can lead to. It's opening so many new doors, meeting new people, learning new things. And okay, I really want to find out more about Kiko Trails.
All right.
So for me, Kiko Trails is interesting because I mean, I've seen some interviews and like I know like I guess I didn't really know this was your thing. And as kids, like we found that. For us, it's like we find this thing. We don't know any history behind it. We just find this place that looks like, what the fuck is going on here? Okay, so a little background. Let me ask you to give a background on Kiko Trails and what it is.
I mean, now it's been there for 17 years. It's like the longest running and biggest set of trails, definitely on Long Island. Maybe even top 5 known on the East Coast. But yeah, the first time, I mean, before Kiko Trails, we like I said before, we had Methodist Church trails, and then we had trails in Port Washington for like 5 or 6 years that also got pretty well known, and then they got plowed, and then we started some other trails, and then we rode at Hooligan Trails in Farmingdale, and there always had to be a spot, like we always had to build somewhere. We built some stuff in Oyster Bay, but nothing that like really, after Port Trails got plowed, nothing really awesome that stuck around that was going to be like epic. And then, when I was a kid, a couple friends of mine, Tim Lowe and Joe Giordano and Dan Bailey, we were all riding bikes, and Joe knew about the spot, in back of the sump across the street from his house over by the train tracks. So like he brought us back there when we were like 12, and there was all kinds of crazy shit going on. There was like dirt bikes and quads and like these Hessians and just burn barrels and metal playing and fires, and like these guys are probably like 18, 19, but when you're 12 and you see that, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like they're definitely listening to like Ozzy Osbourne, and we were like, holy crap, like this is nuts.
Wow.
So we went in there like once or twice, and we built a couple little jumps like down away from them, and then didn't really think much of it or went back. And then when Port Trails got plowed in, they got plowed in like I think it's 2000, but
I guess tell me a little history on Port Trails because I don't know anything about if I had to guess, it's similar to Kiko. It's just like a spot where someone built trails. And
there was some trails. There's a guy named Vince Griffith, the Ghost, and he lived across the street, and he still rides. Awesome guy. And so he always had some little trails back there. They were in Port Washington, not really like where the big sand cliffs are, like when you look across, but further in to like deeper in.
Okay. So
deeper
like
in Port
Rat Tap
Washington
and Seacliff Beach.
Yeah, there was like different. Yeah, there were different sand pits they were called,
Mm.
but like there was trails there. So then we ended up, needing a spot to ride, and we rolled in there, and I started building there, and Vinny G was like, "Yeah, it's cool, man. Like, do your thing," and like pretty much handed the place over to me, and like I built trails there with a whole bunch of other people, and like they got pretty good. The magazines came, some pro teams came through.
So this is a venture of
videos.
yours. Like this is a project, you could say. Port Trails was a project of yours.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Then it
Yes.
definitely needs to be a part of this story.
Yeah. So Port Trails went from I think it went from about 97 or 98 to like 2001. And
is this a thing that you think people do in different communities of BMX? Is like build trails like this, or is this something like?
No, it
it's
is
like consistent.
It is,
throughout
but
other
it's not.
communities?
But it's not. What all BMX riders do.
Sure.
If there's 100 people that ride, there might be one guy who's like, I'm gonna build.
Yeah, because it's a ton of work, I'm sure, to maintain and keep it up.
It is insane. It's like, it's a constant. It's like having another full-time job, and then you're like always worrying if the trails are gonna get plowed, if some kids are gonna come in there and trash the place.
Yeah.
If someone's gonna get hurt. Like you're fighting Mother Nature all the time. Like you get a thunderstorm and half the jumps wash away.
Right.
Kids will come in and light the place on fire. It's like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And most guys who are hardcore trail builders are also kind of crazy, because like they've been dealing with stuff like that for like a really long time.
Mm.
But yeah, so we had port trails before Kiko.
And is Port Trails besides the Methodist, like you said, you like that's like baby stuff you were building back in the day, or I don't know about baby, but
There
like,
was always there's more, man. There was a spot in Glen Cove,
mm,
a little circle trail, and like on Lamarck, on like where the stone pillars are on Glen Cove.
yeah,
You go down there through the neighborhood, and there was like this little buffer neighborhood between the two neighborhoods. There's like wooded area,
Hmm.
and I built some trails there. It was a circle track, and I called it Skvarla.
Oh,
And so it was like a 6-pack, a berm, a jump, another berm. You kind of went uphill a little bit, and you could loop around there.
that's cool.
So like I had that spot for before I had the port trails. So there was always, and they always evolved.
That's so cool. It's like
Yeah.
interesting to think, like you're kind of like claiming a spot, and like this is mine, and then I'm gonna build on it. And I guess,
Yeah, it's not easy to do. It's like,
yeah, because like,
especially in this day and age. Back then, you got away with it more, but nowadays, not so much.
right, maybe lawsuits.
If you don't,
and,
yeah,
like,
if you don't own the land
Yeah.
and it's not private property and you don't have permission, then it's not looking too good for you.
Damn. All right. So Glen Cove and then Port. And
Yeah, and then
you're-
Port we had some big jumps. Like I said before, we had some magazines come through, some pro teams come
Mm.
through on tour, and we progressed there, and it was awesome. At that time, it was like top level trails.
Hmm.
And if you were to tell me then that like you tell me in my mid-20s that 20 years later I'd have a spot that's even better and I'd still be riding and people would be
Right.
coming and people would be coming from all over the world and pros are coming, magazines are coming, and it's in videos, and there's a thing called Instagram. I'd be like, what? Like, what are you talking about? But yeah. So after Port got plowed, I needed a place to dig.
Hmm.
And I had remembered, as a kid going back in there. And so I was like, oh, let me go back in these woods and see what's going on there now.
Hmm.
So I went back in, I think 2004, I went back in there and I was in my late 20s and was like, all right, well, the hill is kind of steep. So I don't know if it's going to work. It might be too fast.
Hmm.
Then we're like, well, what if I kind of make it like switch back and forth down the hill? You don't go directly down the hill. We'll, I'll put some turns. You turn here, you turn there.
Hmm.
And I started building some stuff there, and at first there was a couple guys that were riding dirt bikes and quads, and they kind of had a trail that went around there. But the golf course was not happy about that because quads and dirt bikes,
Tear up the grass. and
yeah,
shit
well, they
like
weren't going on the golf course, but they were going close enough that it was really annoying
that.
the golfers. So they'd go and they'd do a lap, and they'd be in there for they get a rubble run for like 10 minutes, and then the golf course would call the cops, and then they'd be out of there. So when we started building BMX jumps, we put these posts in the entrance
Hmm.
so that you could only fit a bicycle through.
Oh.
So we kind of just, blocked them off. And I think they were kind of done using that spot anyway.
Did you know these guys or?
No, like one or two kind of knew who they were. And then there was like one time there was like this guy on a quad with his kid,
Hmm.
and he was like running over like jumps that we had just made, and we were like,
Oh my
dude.
God.
And then he was like,
Just disrespect.
oh yeah, he was like, F you, like you got a problem, and like, and he tried to run me over with his quad. I remember like taking the shovel handle and kind of like jumping out of the way, but putting the shovel handle like in the front suspension and just like
oh my God.
pushing him out of the way. And his dad was like, Dad, this quad sucks. And it was like, and then he was like, shut up, yelling at his kid. And it was like this big hectic situation. And then he left and he was like, all right, you guys are going to get it. And we're like, great. Now he's going to go back and he's going to go get it. The guy seemed like he was drunk or something. And we're like, he's going to go back and get his buddies and like kick our asses. So we stayed in there and we were like, all right, we rebuilt the jump. And we're like, we knew at any time this guy might come back
Hmm.
with more of his friends and try to fight us. But that is also what has happened with the trails. It's like when you have that spot and you put, your blood, sweat, and tears and
To something you
years
don't
into
really
something,
own,
it's like you're gonna have to, if it comes down to having to fight over it, you're going to have to do that.
Damn. That's the culture behind it. That's the lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, luckily it hasn't come to that. It's come close
Mm.
a bunch of times. But yeah, so then, 2004, went in there, started building some jumps. It worked out. Someone from the golf course came over and they actually told us, they're like, look, we're not really happy about this, but you are kind of the lesser of two evils. You know, like you guys
compared to like some motorized shit.
Yeah, totally.
You're the lesser, for
totally.
sure.
So the guy kind of was like, look, if you know, as long as you can keep it quiet, keep it clean, keep kids, you know, from doing drugs and partying back in here, and no one gets hurt, like I'm not going to bother you. I'll tell them not to bother you, you know. And then they told us, you know, at one point they said they were, you know, they might have to knock it down, and that was like 2008. Yeah.
Been
And
a
then
quiet 10 years then.
yeah. So like we're like, oh man, the trails are gonna get knocked down. Like this sucks. At that point, they had only been there for like about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then the economy crashed.
Oh shit, right.
Yeah. So when that happened, the same guy came in and we were like, what's the update? What's going on? You know, we're gonna have trails. He's like, well, they wanted to knock them down, but you know,
there's no budget.
yeah, pretty much.
Can't pay for
Pretty much. So like we're losing members. Like that country club is a very exclusive country club. It costs
Which
a
one
lot.
is that? Do you know?
Glenhead Country Club.
Okay, Glenhead.
Yeah. So I think from what I heard, it costs $100,000 a year to be a member there.
Yeah.
Just to walk in the place.
Just to walk.
And when the
in.
economy started crashing, a lot of the guys with the money that had the golf country club membership.
One of the things that's going to be cut off your budget.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah. So
more
what
100K
the guy told me was that, you know, they were losing members left and right. And the trails they're kind of in like a no man's zone. Like they're probably not on the golf course's property, and they're probably not on the other property next to it, but no one really knows exactly where the property line is. And before we had BMX trails in there was always stuff going on. Like, you know, people that are 20, 30 years older than me tell me that they used to hang out back there. Like that was always a spot for whatever reason that people hung out in.
So weird.
Yeah. So anyway, the economy saved us. The guy came back in and it's like, he said like, it's going to cost 30 grand to do a proper land survey and figure out where the property line is, because you can't just go in and knock down jumps if they're not on your property.
Right.
And so they said they couldn't justify it at that time.
Wow.
And then, you know, the leaves grew in, and you know, in the summertime, we're very well hidden. You can't see the place.
Yeah.
And then the same guy had said, like, you know, we don't want to knock it down because we look at how much work went into it. And like, he's like, just try to keep it cool, and hopefully there's no problems. So, you know, now this spring will be year 17. Yeah.
17.
And it's, you know, besides myself digging there's obviously been a lot of help. You know, I got, you know, my right-hand man, Steve-O, and Rob, and then even little Paulie was one of the first guys in there. And Oscar came from Port Trails, you know.
Okay.
Port Trails got plowed. He came over there too. So like, and then there's just been tons I can't name everybody, I'm sorry, but there's been so many people that have helped in there, you know, like, you know, new generation now. But like, yeah, it's not just me. Like, I might be the one who like grew up in this town and found the spot and started the spot, but by no means did I do it all, you know.
Right.
It's by far a group effort.
Community effort.
Yeah.
It's a community.
Yeah.
that you guys have built.
You know, the same thing like with like FDR. Like one dude,
Oh shit.
one
that's a
dude
good
didn't build
comparison.
FDR. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
there might be one guy at a time who's kind of like in charge and kind of like makes the rules. But yeah, it's almost, I would say, very similar to that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you know. I mean, like this spot is world famous. I've met people in Shanghai, for example. This dude Catfish, who's a biker.
Yeah, I know
Met him
Catfish.
met him-
Zach, yeah.
Yeah, Zach. I met him in Shanghai,
Yeah.
and I'm telling, like, he's big into BMX.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. So like, there's this one thing called Kiko Trails, like next to my house. Oh, Kiko Trails.
Yeah.
Like he knows it. Nate, I don't know if you know Nate Wessel.
Yeah.
Is a woodward
Yeah.
builder.
Yeah, ramp builder, yeah.
Met him in Shanghai
Yep.
and partied with those guys one night. And so this is another example, man. Like
Yeah.
you're on the map, bud.
Yeah, no,
Like,
Kiko definitely got, you know, it got known around the world, you know, even before Instagram, you know. But also helps too, because like there was a lot of BMX riders came out of Seacliff, you know. Before myself, Rob Morales, the owner of Cult Bikes, he grew up right on the house in the corner over here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, he was a generation before me who, who made a big name for himself in BMX,
Hmm.
and he helped open up doors for people too. So yeah, it was like Long Island has a really rich BMX history as far as like racing and trails go.
Right. Do you think that's because there was just like, you know, the ability to have trails and the ability to have racing? Like, it just is that a reason why a lot
I
of people
think
came
so.
out of?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there, back then there wasn't a lot of trails in Nassau County, but out by the racetrack,
Hmm.
when we became friends with the guys that we raced with, out in Suffolk County, there was trails everywhere.
Hmm.
Because it was way less developed out there.
Right.
Like,
There
you
wasn't
could-
as many
Yeah,
much
there was
like
woods.
property building.
Yeah,
and
there's
shit like
woods
that.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely more of an opportunity to do that on Long Island. And it's just, yeah, for whatever reason, a lot of BMXers came out of Long Island.
Hmm. Yeah, dude. Super, super cool. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to jump into our next segment, which is called Instagram Lurking. So you'll find out after the break.
All right.
Yo, I hope you are enjoying the show. I really enjoy making it. If you are enjoying this episode, it would be awesome if you could take a moment to support the show. You can go to www.shanghaiobserved.com/shop. I have t-shirts, stickers, and some of my original photography on the store. Buying anything truly helps keep this podcast alive. Thanks a bunch. And now, back to the show. Okay, we are back. We're back with Act 2 of Observing the Process. And right now, we have the segment Instagram Lurk.
All right.
So basically what I've done is
Nice.
I've gone through your Instagram
Sweet.
and just taken some photos that I thought were cool and I think might have more of a background story to them. So this is, I guess, the first photo that you posted on Instagram. So just tell me about it and maybe a little bit what Instagram means to you, because I know you use it quite a lot. So, I mean, a lot of people do, but you've been using it. So I guess like Instagram and then also this photo.
This first photo was I downloaded the app and we were on the rooftop in Brooklyn, and there's a clothing company called Base Brooklyn, which I rode for and I guess still ride for and still do stuff with. They're huge in the Long Island and New York City BMX scene. So they've always been a little off and on, and then they were trying to get back on, and they had a whole big photo shoot up on top of this roof. We had like fake guns and knives and bombs and machetes, and we were all sitting around a picnic table, like making a plan about how we're gonna like make this attack come back. And like the whole skyline was in the background, and so in between shots of that, everyone had their bikes up on the roof, and so I just shot a photo of the bikes on the roof. And at the time, I was like, this looks very Instagrammy, like this is kind of like if you look at the picture, like that's the type of thing. There's probably a filter on there.
Yeah.
I don't think I mess with filters anymore.
Yeah, by the way, for anyone's listening, all these photos will be up on the link in the description, the blog post to this podcast, where you can follow along and look at the photos. And every one I go through when I do this, all the first photos have these like weird filters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's so funny to look back at like the evolution of people using the app.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's
Because
pretty cool.
when it came out, you're like, there's an option. I guess use it.
And it makes everyone feel like a photographer. For real, like the first time I'm like, I could actually shoot photos. Because like you just put a quick filter on it and it like changes the whole photo. And
Totally.
it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, you might take it with your iPhone and then suddenly it looks like it could look like film.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. So this photo you said Base Brooklyn was?
Yeah, Base Brooklyn is a clothing line. I think they started in '86.
Okay.
Yeah, but very, very big in the BMX scene, and super supportive to myself and probably hundreds of other riders.
Okay.
They also sponsored skateboarders too.
Oh,
They were
sweet.
like big into skateboarding too. I'm trying to. There's some names that I can't. I'm drawing a blank now, but there was some popular New York skateboarders that were also on Base Brooklyn.
Okay. Cool. All right, let's move on to the next one.
There we go. So
Okay.
that explains what I was talking about before, right?
Right.
About being being 13 years old and a freshman at North Shore High School.
But you got the Vision streetwear
hell
shirt
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, too funny. I was looking at this and it reminded me of must have had the same student card, at least with like the North Shore
Logo, right? Yep.
and yeah, I thought that was pretty funny that I don't know, just sharing that same type of card and anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look like I'm 13, but I probably look like I'm like 10 in that picture.
Street Vision shirt. And then next up we got first race ever. So I think you already mentioned, Shoreham and all that stuff. But do you remember your first race?
Yeah. I mean, it's also like how the nickname Superfly transferred into the BMX world,
Okay.
because like before that it was local, me and a couple other local guys from the neighborhood were very into WWF wrestling.
Mm.
So we would wrestle on the tires in the Seacoast School playground, and everybody picked a wrestler that they liked. So I liked, my favorite wrestler was Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Okay.
And so we all had our moves on the playground, and I would jump off the tires onto people. So like that was my move. So like, so I just started calling myself John Superfly Skvarla in the little wrestling world.
Right.
And then when I went to my first race, the coincidentally, Rob Morales' friend Pete, I think he's double A Pete on Instagram. He's still on there. He happened to be the announcer, and like this picture perfectly describes like how all that happened, because when you're in a BMX race, I mean, the goal is to go from the starting line to the finish as fast as possible.
Right.
So there's no point in the world to like blast off of this jump, do a turn bar, and stare into the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what I did when I got to the first jump. Like my parents were sitting there with the camera, and instead of trying to like stay low and win, I was like, I want to get rad.
Yeah.
And so the announcer Pete was like, oh, it's Superflies out of the gate and hits the first jump and blasts off. Oh, and there goes the rest of the pack.
Right. I think that goes to show what your true intentions were, what your desire for BMX and your love of biking. It wasn't about winning the race. It was
about jumping.
Yeah, dude. Okay, we'll definitely get into some more jumping shit that I have out here. But and then another one. Since you already brought it up, the Superfly shit. Another photo that will come up is of wrestling and explaining more. And it seemed like the name Superfly is a mix, or Super BMX is a mix of Superfly and just BMX in general.
Yep. Yeah, totally. So it was, the nickname Superfly, people at the racetrack and around town, my friends, they started cutting it shorter, and then they cut it to Super. And so for a long time it was Super. And then when I started printing t-shirts, I was just printing Super on t-shirts, and my line was Super. And then it got to be a little bit weird. It was like, well, what's the context? So then I added, Super BMX.
Right.
Yeah, and there was a magazine in the 80s called Super BMX Magazine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So coincidentally, they went out of business, way before I started using the name, but
okay.
But yeah, that was already in there. And then Super, people changed it to Soups.
Yeah, I guess it evolved into Soups.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what happens. Like nicknames will evolve.
They stick.
I don't think but yeah. So it's been Soups for a long time. Like I think that's it. I don't know what other variations you can go on from that.
Cool. Next just looks like another Shoreham shot.
That's not me.
But this is like Brian Collins.
Yeah, Brian Collins. That's BC.
Repping.
Yeah. He rode bikes. He wasn't into it as much as me and Dan Bailey, but he was into it for a little while. And he lives in Glen Cove. I'm still friends with him. See him, maybe run into him like every week or so.
Yeah, too funny.
That one's me, yeah.
Yeah, 93 Shoreham. Okay, so this is like pretty iconic because I've seen it a bunch of times. So tell me the story behind, the ramp and stuff like that, and like what inspired you to do this, and was it even your idea? I don't know.
I mean, BMX riders have been doing it for a long time. There was a magazine called BMX Plus, and once a year they'd have an issue where someone would be. They called it lake jumping because wherever they shot the photos, it was into a lake.
I guess we're on like a
So we called it dock jumping. Yeah. But when I was really young and riding, there was like this older dude who was like kind of sketchy around town, and like he rode BMX a little bit, but not like the same as like Rob Morales or the other older guys. His name was John Fabrizio, and he built a little ramp, and we went to this dock in Glen Cove, and we did it for the first time. And then we kind of forgot about it because we were like 13, and then maybe like 10 years ago or so, we were like, hey, let's go dock jumping. So we built another ramp, and we brought it to the dock in Glen Cove, and it was a perfect setup. You can pedal as fast as you can across the parking lot, do a small bunny hop onto the dock, and then pedal even faster, and then you can just blast into Hempstead Harbor.
Yeah.
And this picture, we happened to know the guy. A friend of ours was driving by in his boat, and he's like, I'm going to park the boat behind the ramp. And the picture also, this one ran in, I think, Ride BMX magazine. So
right, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like, I know this is not like a concept that you invented, but it
Yeah.
seems like your photos.
we kind of like, we didn't invent the concept,
Yeah.
but as far as I know,
you made it into magazines
Around-
and stuff. So
yeah,
that's
but
like,
years ago, maybe 10 years ago when we started doing it again, I don't know, there wasn't a lot of people doing it again. So we kind of brought it back.
maybe reignited it.
Yeah. And then my friend Keith Mulligan, he was the editor of this magazine and also like one of the best action sports BMX photographers that there is. And so he happened to come out, and so he shot this photo.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Cool, super cool stuff. The next photo is like, I guess another maybe time you did it, like jumping over this.
Yeah.
Really sick, like over a setting sun. And then this photo is like you have it in the back of a car.
Yeah, it's like I had a piece of shit Nissan that was like I just ran it into the ground, and the ramp was like almost as big as the car.
and somehow like hanging out the ass of the car.
Yeah. So put the back seats down and stuck it in the trunk, and it kind of looks like it's like a rocket exhaust or something.
Did you guys build it or?
Yeah. Me and my friend Sean McCalmont, we built it over. We lived in the apartment across from Gallagher's. So we built it on the back patio.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's in the hallway when you come up the stairs. That same ramp.
I'll knock it. Good luck on my way down. Okay, so now here we have
Kiko.
classic Kiko.
Yeah, that's a good.
We already
description
dove
of
into Kiko, and I guess one thing that I also wanted to say, I'm happy I got to get more context. I was a little worried like you wouldn't be able to say much on. It seems like it's in a gray zone is the best way you can put it.
Yeah.
My question is like, it's interesting that like you're able to still be there and it's in a gray zone, and you developed a situation where you're in good standing with the people that may or may not own it.
I
in
hope
a
so.
sense.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it's been there for 17 years. We've been following all the guidelines, set
That you
by
possibly
and
could,
suggestions
yeah.
by people. It's not a secret. People know where it is. I could be secretive about it, but also, what's the point?
Right.
I'm talking about it. And like, it's definitely not a secret, like what we've done in there. And
but you don't
think
put it
it's
on Google Maps. Like
No.
it's cool that
Yeah.
like it's like you gotta.
I mean,
it's
it's a
not
po-
easy to find if
No.
you have no idea
and
where
it's
it
like
is.
I would like to think it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Like this year, we built a pump track, so people of all skill levels and all ages can go and they can ride through the whole place. There's a little section with rollers that weaves in and out of all the other sections.
It's awesome.
Like we're trying to be inclusive of people. Like I said earlier, like we keep it clean. We try to, police the place, make sure like nothing bad is going on there. So I hope it's a positive thing. Like if someone out there is listening and is like, oh yeah, well we got this is no good. We got to tear this down. It's like, you know what? There's probably a lot of other things that you can go and take care of besides this. Like
I can tell from what you're doing. It's you're building a community. Like you guys even like put flowers and plants and like make it look, not like just some piece of shit place.
yeah,
you know?
I mean we have an American flag hanging up.
Yeah.
Every year on Memorial Day.
So is this particularly this photo? Is this a Memorial Day event, or do you know? Like, does it ring a
that
bell?
could have been any. That could have been any day. The flag stays up.
Okay.
The flag stays up there. But on Memorial Day, we had a moment of silence. For our lost soldiers.
Yeah, I think one of the videos that I saw on YouTube specifically is like, I guess Memorial Day is a big day for riding there, and yeah, I saw Steve-O was in the interview as well, and you're kind of just like explaining what this place is.
Yeah, that was probably on Al Kane's.
Yeah.
Al Kane's, yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so it's awesome that you guys have like the barbecue and
Yeah, I mean that's an old. We have a newer barbecue now.
hmm.
You know, we have an actual charcoal grill, and it's in the ground, and you know, we have some bike companies that have thrown us some support.
Hmm.
You know, Odyssey, you know, they sometimes they come through with a Home Depot gift card, so we could buy some tools,
That's
and then like,
dope.
you know, if some people, you know, they want to come ride, but they don't have necessarily have the time for whatever reason in life. You know, they have 2 full-time jobs, they got kids, and they don't have the time to be down there breaking their backs, putting the same amount of work as us.
Hmm.
You know, sometimes they'll come through with some shovels or like a roll of tarps.
Hmm.
You know, so everyone does something.
So that was one of my questions that I missed is like the learning process of building jumps, because I'm sure you're not as good, like you're good now, but you were not always this good.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
That's a lot of trial and error.
Mm,
And like, there's been lots of times where you make a lip and then you put the landing where you think it's supposed to be,
right.
and it's not in the right spot. And then you got to take that entire pile of dirt
Mm.
and like literally like move it,
Yeah,
you know?
man.
And sometimes you do that 2 or 3 times.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of it's guesswork. A lot of it's like, we've been doing this for so long, you can kind of eyeball it, you know, like, you know the scene in like The Hangover where I think it's like Zach Galifianakis' character,
Mm.
like he's in the casino and all of a sudden like those numbers are just going off like in the back, like they're on the screen, like
Yeah, 'cause he's like
all those
he's
calculations,
counting cards and shit like that.
yeah,
for that
all those
scene. Yeah, yeah.
calculations. It's kind of like that sometimes. Like you build a lip and then you just look and you're just like in your head, you're like, well, you're coming off of that set before, which gives you this much speed,
Mm.
and the hill's at this angle, and so the landing, yep, it'll just work to be over there.
It's just straight experience. It's just like
Yeah.
you've put in the hours
Pretty
to
much.
know.
Yeah, like there's like a couple guys at spots like that have tape measures,
Mm.
and like they're trying to figure it out. Like, well, if this one's 15, the next one has to be 17, and it's
Hmm.
just, we don't do it that way.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to mention like, so my experience with BMX is not so much BMX but mountain biking recently in the past couple of years I've gotten into, and I just have to say like BMX and mountain biking is by far like 10 times more dangerous than skateboarding or surfing or snowboarding, or most like the ability to hit a tree or get caught in a root,
Yeah.
or just like the ways you can get hurt on this shit is way higher. And you got this like metal, like awkward frame between your legs. With
Yeah.
skateboarding, you can kick out, and like
Yeah, it's
biking, you can kick out, but like not really.
yeah, you can't really step off as much.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, so yeah, getting hurt is I don't know. I ride very very cautiously. I'm not really pushing things in my age, in my mid 40s. You know,
Mm.
I'm like obviously not going to be, you know, getting better. I just like to plateau, you know,
Mm.
stay at the plateau that I'm at and continue to maintain, you know.
Maintain like a happiness. Like for me, it's so important. Like I've stopped going as hard on skateboarding so I can continue to do it longer.
Exactly. Same here.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same here with BMX, you know.
I think you get to a certain point where you realize like, what's the point in being the hero of the day? Like I'd rather
Yeah.
be the hero of like my decade.
Oh, yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
like- I was by far like not even close to being like one of the best BMX riders,
Mm.
but I also feel like I was a decent BMX rider
Mm.
for a way longer period of time
right.
than most people get in the sport.
And yeah, and for me that's so important. Longevity and like maintaining something that is like truly special to me. So I definitely appreciate that. Well, this looks like you guys did an interview. Maybe it was the same one that I was just mentioning.
Yeah, when we were
before.
talking about bass earlier,
Yeah.
the guy on the right, that's Enos. That's the owner of Bass.
Okay. Yeah, he's wearing a base Brooklyn shirt right now. Yeah.
Yep. And on the left, that's Glenn. That's Glenn Milligan. He's a big video production, big video guy. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, he's been in Europe the last few months
Hmm.
doing some big projects over there, and he started his background in BMX.
Hmm.
So this was him at Kiko. I guess they were working on a documentary that's like been in the works for like a long time.
That's awesome.
So he was just doing a little interview, and I guess that footage is somewhere, and someday will show up somewhere.
Yeah, yet to be seen. Yet to be seen. Kind of like this is another one from Kiko, I guess. Young James Rearez.
Yeah, Rires took this photo. This is at Oyster Bay Trails.
Oh, okay. Did you know Rearez from Like, did he go to North Shore or did he?
Yeah, he went to North Shore, but
Is he your age or
no, but I'm older than him, so
Hmm.
so yeah, I was out before he got there, but I knew him just as like the neighborhood kid that had like this hoopty bike that would just tag along with us,
Hmm.
and then for years he would just tag along with us and not say anything, and then he would talk a little bit more, and we became friends, and
Okay.
then realized that he also skated, and then realized how insanely good he is at skating.
I'm having him on Friday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm trying to
I know.
check him out as I'm here.
Yeah. So, and he's also a great photographer.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Down Wop. I guess that was like a brand he created. I don't know if he really does that much
Down
anymore.
with OPP.
Yeah. Oh, Down with OPP.
Down with OPP. That was his. I mean, for a while, I guess that was his screen name before there was Instagram and all that.
You know, he made, I believe, the Barracks, you might know.
Yeah.
They had a program or a contest called United Nations. And I don't know if he won or they got to the finals, but like it was like contest where anyone from in the world could submit like their like crew part
Yeah.
to this thing. And I think it was like Matt Cartledge, I don't think Frankie was involved, but definitely James Ruiz and some other dudes, Long Island Killers. James has been on the map.
Oh yeah,
I'd say similar to you.
Such
like,
a sick skateboarder. He's so good.
He's kind of known for crushing Flushing Gap.
Yep.
And the Flushing Ledge, pretty much. Insane. I can't wait to hear more about that.
Yeah.
From him.
We had clips of him. I had a lot of clips of him. Like I don't know if he filmed them or if we were filming bike riding and skateboarding there at the same time. But I remember just seeing so much. Yeah, he was so good.
Right.
So much stuff. You're just like, he'll do some crazy grind and then some crazy flip out of it that you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What did you just do?
And he's crazy. And like to this day, like I think he skates Oyster Bay Park. Is it? No, it's Bethpage.
Yeah.
Bethpage Park a lot. And yeah, he's just like switchback tail, like every back tail combination that guy can do.
Yeah. He rode BMX too.
That's wild.
Like he hit every single jump at Kiko except
fucking right.
Except for the big super dubs. Yeah.
Dude, that's insane. Like
yeah.
I couldn't
and his
hit.
bike, and he had the worst bike too. We'd be like, James, come on. Like I'll give you let me give you new handlebars. He'd be like, no, I like these.
No, I like these.
They bended like way back in towards him.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he was really good at BMX as well. Not a lot, everyone in the skateboarding world knows that. But yeah, he took that photo at Oyster Bay Trails. Oyster Bay Trails were like a very short-lived spot that I worked on for a few months, and then that was right before I ended up digging at Kiko.
The Enigma, James Ruiz.
Yes.
All right. Or just I took too many of Kiko, I guess we're going through, but this might be one of the last ones. Does this ring any bells or like anything special?
That's Oscar. Like I said before, Oscar, I've known him since he was a little kid. He helped build that Port Trails and then came over to Kiko Trails, and he also works as a screen printer. Awesome dude. One of the best guys. So this is a pretty good description of Kiko and the Whammo section.
The Whammo section.
Yeah,
Tell me, what does the
section.
Whammo section mean? It's just like
Well,
one jump?
every section has its own name.
Right.
So that if you're on the starting hill, you can describe to the other people riding like where you're going to go.
Oh.
Yeah. Some trails have spots that intersect. So if two trails intersect each other and one guy says they're going for Whammo and the other guy says he's going to hit the creature line and they happen to cross each other, that's why you say which way you're going. But at Kiko, we try to build a lot of over-unders.
Okay.
So like most of the trails, if you're going to cross, you jump over the other line.
Okay.
Yeah. But so Whammo is my buddy Grady used to come to Long Island and hang out and crash in Paulie's basement. And he just had this weird catchphrase, which was like, Whammo. And so like, it was just this thing that he would say for no reason. Like if something dumb happened or like, it was just his catchphrase, and it just the way he said it and the way it sounded was just funny. So when we were building the section, we were like, all right, this is gonna be the Whammo section, and then so that stuck. So that's like probably the most hit line, and that jump right there is like the third jump and the one that's like most trickable. And then in future pictures, after this was taken, I made a shovel sign that says Kiko.
Right. I think that might be in here, but I've definitely seen
so
that.
that's Oscar hitting the third set of whammo.
All right. Shout out Oscar. All right. So you guys have done some camping there,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, Kiko camping.
Yeah.
A couple times in the summer, we were like, oh, we should go camping. And we're like, wait a minute, why don't we just go to Kiko? Like, we already have a grill there. It's way closer than driving 2 hours upstate. So yeah, we camped in there a couple times.
That's too funny. I noticed as I was looking at the comments, Liz Mulvey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dated Jen Mulvey, my
her
first
sister.
girlfriend. And then also John Moser.
Oh, Moser. Yeah, Moser's shot.
Moser. Do you see him? Is he still around?
I'm sure he's still around, but I don't think anyone sees him.
God knows what he's up to.
He's
man.
probably doing the same thing, just hanging out in the basement,
Oh, my
being
God.
weird. I don't
He's
know.
like a good dude, and
Yeah,
he was
he's
good
just-
at BMX.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if maybe he still is. It's just I don't know what he does.
I don't know. I don't see him. We lost our patience for him. You know, he was a kid who just never got it. Like, would come down to the trails.
Mm.
Oh, he'd do the sneaky session. Like
Sneaky-
he'd come down the trails, like early in the morning when no one was there, and try to ride him like without any permission, without helping.
What?
And we'd be like, "Yo, dude, you can't do that. Like, you have to do
gotta
something.
maintain.
Yeah.
You got to be a part of this.
Then yes, and then we're like, all right, look, this is what you got to do. You know, go, take the shovel, go over there, fill up this wheelbarrow,
Mm.
come back, and like he couldn't even fill up a wheelbarrow. You know, we gave him a rake to rake some leaves. Like 2 minutes later, he hands the broken rake back to me. He just broke it.
Mm.
So he was kind of not really cut out for that.
Right.
But hopefully he's doing good.
Yeah. Wish you the best, Moser. All right.
Here we go.
Into something different than Kiko. So, t-shirt pressing.
Yeah.
Or printing. When did you get into that? Like, has it been your career for the past while now? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was about 16, when I was 16 turning 17, my girlfriend at the time got me a little screen printing kit from the art store. And a friend of mine and myself, we messed around with the kit, and we were very inspired by Base Brooklyn, which was the clothing company that sold stuff and sponsored local racers at the track, and another company called Step Design, which was from Connecticut. Like, they were given BMX like it was kind of like a punk rock part of BMX. Like, they were giving it, you know, little, like, you know, an image. So I got pretty inspired by that, and I made a design that just said Super on it, and it was like a paper stencil, and I didn't really figure out how to properly make a screen using the emulsion and a film. I just kind of X-Acto knifed a paper stencil, put it on the screen, experimented with that, and I kind of fell into screen printing that way. And then I went to the racetrack, and I showed the guy from Base Brooklyn, or the two guys from Base Brooklyn, you know, the shirt that I made at home, being like, look, I want to be like you guys. I made my own thing. And they were like, well, that's kind of cool. You made that in your kitchen. Like, why don't you come to our shop and you can use, you know, the real screen printing press. 'Cause,
Right.
like, we don't even know if we know what we're doing. Maybe you could figure it out. So like, they really threw me a bone, and I kind of went with that. So I ended up using their machines to make my shirts, and then they hired me to do their printing. And then that's kind of like how I fell into all of this, you know? So this is a picture of a shirt that I printed for Casey Gallagher's, the local bar.
Galleys.
Yep. So most of the businesses that I print for are like local businesses, local bands, plumbers, landscapers, you know, whatever.
Yeah, man. It's super awesome. I've like, so I don't know if you know the Instagram I do. It's Shanghai Observed, and basically a big premise of it is a lot of people in Shanghai have no idea what they're wearing on their shirts.
Oh yeah.
So I've made a lot of shirts replicating what I've seen, and I can resell them to my fans. And so I've gotten into making shirts, and I've learned a little bit about it. And yeah, it's just cool to see that like you're doing it out here, and like you can just do it.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I don't love it. I'm pretty burnt on it. But I'm working for myself.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you get to make your own schedule, and
Yeah,
it's like you're doing your
totally,
own thing.
Totally. So like, you know, I've been working my ass off all year, like working crazy hours. And then so January, I'm taking off all January and going to Puerto Rico.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So you can't do that with a normal job.
Well, that's what I get to do right now.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm off for like 2 months basically.
Yeah.
You know, home for the holidays,
Yeah.
and then do a little bit in
working for
California.
yourself.
Yeah.
it's
Has its pros and its cons.
yes,
Break it
definitely
down.
does.
Just has its pros and its
It
cons.
does. It's hard, because you have to have self-discipline,
Mm.
you have to, if you had a normal job and you were trying to make your own schedule, or you just didn't show up for work for 2 days because you wanted to hang out with your friends, you'd get fired.
Yeah. But if you have your own schedule and you want to hang out with your own friends, maybe you just don't make money that month. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
I guess
No,
you'll
it does-
feel it both ways.
It has its pros and its cons. Like
Yeah.
there's days too where it's like, oh cool, I only have to, print 50 shirts today, and then I can go to the trails and I can hang out with some friends, and then suddenly, someone calls with a last minute order, or something breaks or something happens, and then suddenly it's like this day that was going to be like 2 hours of work is now 12.
Mm. Yeah, man. Super cool to see. And especially right now, we are in the shop where it's all around us, and it's just like, it's doable. Like, you can do this if you want to. If you want to build your own thing,
Totally.
this is possible.
Totally. I wish that like a kid would come knocking on the door. That's like the 17-year-old version of me. That's like, I want to make t-shirts. I'm really into this.
Mm.
Like, can I use your press? And I'd be like, yeah, but you also have to like, work for me and do that. But
Yeah.
I haven't come across that.
You haven't found the dude who's
Yeah.
going to be your intern.
Yeah. No.
So this next photo we're looking at, I don't know why I put this in here, but for me, I thought it was interesting because I remember when this place burnt down or something happened. Right now we're looking at a photo. This is on Seacliff Ave, and I guess it's right next to Galleys. Did this burn down or what
I
happened?
think it burnt down a
Yeah.
long time ago, and the owner just didn't want to rebuild. So he left it as like a hole in the ground. But going back to what you were saying before, that building on the left, that's Woodpecker Hall.
Oh, that's Woodpecker right there. Yeah.
So there's a different owner for the hole in the ground and for the building. Yeah.
And then actually what I wanted to cover is maybe some other like shops in Seacliff, for example, like even Dreams East.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. Do you have any like relations or connections to them? Not too
Dreams
much?
East, I've been in there a couple of times, and it's a strange spot. They sell like futons, and
Yeah,
like,
it is a
and the
strange
guy's
spot.
doing some kind of like, what is it, like Tai Chi? What is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
He does some kind of like,
energy related stuff. Like,
Yeah.
basically they have like crystals and rocks that are like stone,
yeah, it seems like very
hippy
secret.
dippy
Yeah.
spot. And that's just what what I want like my listeners to understand is like, that's the kind of stuff that goes down in Seacliff.
Yes.
It's weird. Just like,
That's a
bizarre.
good example. I mean, there's
Yeah.
even more. Like, there's a guy who dresses up like Teddy Roosevelt every day.
Oh yeah.
The guy who looks like Teddy Roosevelt. And then there was the walking lady.
I got a photo of her in here. Let's see. Maybe
Yeah.
she's coming up. I don't know.
Oh, thank God. There
she's
we
the
go.
next one.
Next
She's the
one.
next one. So walking lady.
Yeah.
She just walks around with a stick, and she's known as like.
Yeah, her name is Anna.
Mm.
And she actually just moved from Seacliff. There was like a going away celebration for her.
Really?
Yeah. I think she moved out. I think she moved down south to be with family.
Okay.
Yeah. But she was known. She's just an icon. She's super happy lady that just walked around town and smiled and had all these ridiculous outfits.
Yep.
Yeah. That's like another perfect thing that like kind of sums up Seacliff. Like there's just characters.
Exactly. There's characters, and it's almost like through your Instagram, I've been able to like relive some of these
Nice.
characters. It's been pretty cool going through. This is like another example right here.
That was just randomly on the Village Green.
Right now, we're looking at a photo of it looks like paper mache, terrifying mask in like a baby's carriage. And you know what? Actually, I was walking there, that spot right there. Maddie Mindich just opened up a new cafe there.
Yeah, I saw when I drove past today, and they painted some nice little mural on the bottom.
They
It
were
looked
working on
very
it
cool.
right there. Yeah,
Yep.
they were working on it.
Yep.
Yeah, my mom says they got like great muffins and like baked goods, and the coffee's
Cool.
good. And before that, it was a sushi spot.
Yep.
It's interesting how stuff comes and goes pretty quickly there.
Yeah, that's a hard spot because they don't really have a real kitchen.
And then even the spot across from Il Villaggio has turned so many times. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's a Seacliff Bistro.
Right now it is. Back in the day, Megan Tassison was a classmate. They had a candy shop there.
Oh yeah,
was
and it was also an ice cream store.
Yeah, I think it was ice cream as
yeah.
well. Yeah, they had the best maple syrup candies, hard
Yeah.
candy. Oh my god, so good. All right, back into some more BMX stuff with this next photo. And I chose this one because I've been to that same bowl in Amsterdam.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
So tell me about your Amsterdam trip and I guess your whole Euro trip you did.
Well, this particular trip, I think this was 2012. My friend, so my good friend Sean McCalmont, who he used to be my roommate at the apartment across from Gallagher's. We had the same birthday, except for I'm 10 years older than him. Anyway, he was taking German class in college, in like Queens College, and then there was some kind of program where he could take German in Germany. So he went and did that, and he was like, "Hey, if you want to come to Germany, like I have a dorm, it's all paid for, whatever, and come the last week that I'm there and then when I finish the class, we'll go on a road trip. We'll go to Belgium, Amsterdam, France." So I flew over and met him there, and he's not a BMX guy. So I remember I had to like twist his arm for him to rent like a bicycle. And then we heard about this bowl, and I made him, ride, all the way across Amsterdam to find this bowl. And like, I'm pretty much a trails dude. Like, I'm not good at riding street. I can't air a quarter or out of a bowl very well. But this one was pretty, when in Rome, right? Or when in Amsterdam, drop in and carve around.
Yeah.
You're in,
You're in
Europe.
You gotta ride it if you see it.
Yeah. So that's what this picture was.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a cool
man.
spot.
Yeah, I went there maybe 2018. I was taking a long trip, or I made many stops in order to get to Norway for a friend's wedding. Did like a quick bit in London and then stayed in Amsterdam for a couple days. And my buddy who lives out there showed me around town, and Amsterdam was pretty cool. It was a fun spot, and I enjoyed this bowl. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, Amsterdam is awesome. I've been a few times. Last year, on the way to Cape Town, South Africa, I stopped there, and my friend Ari lives there, and so I had a 24-hour layover in Amsterdam, and I hadn't seen him in 19 years. So he met me at the airport, and I got to spend the day with him, crash his house, get up real early in the morning, and then go back. But yeah, Amsterdam is definitely fun. I think more fun in the summer than in the winter. But
I was lucky. I
cool
went there in
spot.
August.
Yeah.
It was really good weather. Let's see what we got next. This looked like just a super cool photo. It reminded me of Bam Margera, Viva La Bam.
Yeah.
And they built this whole park inside his house. I think it was like one of the first episodes.
Yeah.
Where was this?
So this is in Germany, and
on the same trip maybe, or?
The same trip. So this is my friend Dave King, who owns a company called Dirt Sculpt, and he builds the jumps for the X Games.
Oh wow!
And he builds pump tracks, builds courses for BMX and mountain bike courses. So anyway, he was building this at a spot in Berlin called I think it was Mellow Park. Yeah, Mellow Park. So he just happened to be there in Berlin at the same time as me. And so we linked up and we got to go and ride this spot.
Yeah, looks pretty cool. And it was like a Chinese wheelie. I guess
Yeah, he's doing like a nose wheelie over the there's like a channel doorway to get in.
Mellow Park. Pretty sick. And Seacliff Beach. I guess we already touched on it, but yeah, man, I wanted to talk to you about Seacliff Beach because it seems like quite a bit of your photos revolve around that. And for me, I have a lot of good memories, swimming on that dock that you got right there. And
I still try to swim to that as much as possible.
Yeah, man.
Take a break from screen printing, ride my motor scooter down there.
Yo,
and
your
then
motor scooter.
And then just take a breather, especially a long work day. Just swim out, chill on the float, kind of reset your brain a little bit.
Hell yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. I noticed you have that motor scooter. It's funny, like for me in Shanghai, everyone uses a scooter to get around. Like I have a scooter and I fucking love it. It's a game changer
so much fun
for getting around town, and
so much better than a car or like a full-on motorcycle because it's just it's more agile. You turn it quicker.
Yeah, and then like parking is a ton easier compared to a car, and mine is electric, so like I just bring the battery inside, charge it, and I'm good to go for mad long. And it's just funny that people don't really use them that much here.
Yeah, I mean I use it around town. That's it. Some people are like, "Oh, why don't you get a real motorcycle?"
Mm.
I'm like, I don't want to get killed.
Right,
You know,
right.
I just
This
you
shit
know,
is dangerous.
someone could be a terrible driver
Mm.
and just run a light and you're dead. Like, taking
That-
the scooter around town, from here to the beach or whatever, like, it's fun.
Well, that's what I actually like about the scooter that I use as well. Is like I can't really go above 40 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Like what, 25, 30 miles an hour. So it's like you're not getting too crazy on
Yeah.
it. If I had a motorcycle, I think I'd be getting like whether I want to or not, at certain points I'm gonna rev it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I rev my little rinky dink electric scooter, I'm not revving too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty funny. All right. Yeah. This photo is interesting because is this you or
Yeah.
dude? I guess that's kind of like I've been looking at a lot of your photos, and it seems like you just go big. That's like a big part of the way that you like to ride. Is like even you said like yourself, you're not so much of a street rider, not so much of a bull rider, but like just big jumps is kind of like what your style
hitting
is.
jumps. I mean, this is a photo from a dirt jumping contest at Pier 17 South Street Seaport
Mm.
back in probably the year 2000 maybe. And they actually knew that my friends and I build BMX jumps. So the organizers contacted us and we got paid to build the jumps
Mm.
on the course and then also to ride in the contest.
Wow.
But what's cool about this is like there's not very often that you're going to see a BMX dirt jump with the Brooklyn Bridge in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, super sick. And you know what it just reminded me of? I don't know if it's in the same spot, but definitely somewhere close to the Brooklyn Bridge.
The pump track.
Yeah.
I think it's by the Williamsburg Bridge. I think
Okay, so this is
and
the
it's
Brooklyn
yeah,
Bridge. Okay.
yeah. That I think that just closed. I think they're tearing that down very soon.
Really?
Yep.
That
I
was
think
short lived.
Yeah, it was never supposed to be permanent.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
they're going to build a bank or some high rise on it and
I mean, yeah. How can
and
that property
that real
sustain
estate,
just
that real
a
estate
fucking,
in Williamsburg is worth a
yeah,
lot
a
more
ton.
than I don't
just
think
some
they
fucking pump
no matter
track.
how much fun the kids have in
Did
the
you go
neighborhood.
ride it at all? Or did you go?
I've actually was on my way to ride it a few times and it just started raining or something happened, so I never got to ride it. Some of my good friends, Russ, he rode it a bunch and they got some great shots. It's like mostly asphalt, but there's a couple dirt jumps in it too. And actually, the guy who they hired to run it, he came to Kiko a couple months ago to ride Kiko. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I would ride it on my skateboard,
Yeah.
just pumping around.
Yeah, I mean that's what it was awesome for is because
Yeah.
it was not exclusive to bikes. Any asphalt pump track is awesome because you're going to see, you could ride a skateboard on it just as easily.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was in Indonesia and they have a really nice skate park out there this was the only other time that I've ridden a pump track. Pump tracks are awesome. I mean, this is like a really intense workout for your quads.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Yeah, I mean, and then like I was saying earlier too, like the BMX trails never had a beginner line. It was like the Whammo line. It went from, medium size to big. There was nothing small because for a long time we kind of didn't want people coming in unless they were at a certain skill level, and we kind of wanted to weed some people out. But then in recent years, we want more people to be included. We want more help. So like how you're saying, like a pump track is fun.
Yeah.
We just built a roller line and pump track at Kiko that anyone could ride. Like you could jump on a BMX bike and you could roll through it and roll through the whole thing. Like there's no gaps. It's all
Definitely.
totally rollable and it's totally fun. So yeah, everyone, whether or not you are at whatever level you are at bike riding, if you can get on a pump track or on a skateboard, if it's an asphalt one, like pump tracks are there for everyone. They're fun.
You know what's crazy is even like at Kiko, you might beat me up for this, but like it was like solid enough you could ride a skateboard on some of those jumps. And there was one time
a couple of my friends did it on longboards.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, we didn't care. No, it's dirt, but it's clay and it's so compacted that it has like a blue groove or a black groove. Like it is literally as hard as concrete. So like when you crash, like,
oh my
it's
God.
not like you're falling in the woods like on some soft dirt. Like it's pretty much you're hitting concrete.
Yeah, man. There was I don't even know there was one year where we were in there, Charles DeMarco. I don't know if you remember that.
I know.
Dude.
Yeah, I know Charles.
So there was like a wooden platform and there was he was skating on it, and he would like ollie into the dirt jump. So I
Maybe
was
one of the benches.
maybe
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, probably one of the benches.
But yeah, he was able to ollie into the jump, which is dirt. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. I was just like there, and one of the first times that I found it, and now I'm even remembering like sometimes when you mentioned like you had that pole that you put in to stop like ATVers, I guess, from getting in.
Yeah, 2 posts. Like, you know how you can't leave the grocery store with the shopping cart?
Right. So a post.
Yeah, we made it like that, so you have to like turn your handlebars to get in it.
Around that spot, there was actually some like I don't know what the type of like Velcro, how it like sticks. There was like a plant that sticks to you just like Velcro.
Yeah, those like little spurs, those little green spurs.
Yeah, and someone was because I knew this was like somewhat of a secret spot. Like you couldn't really go there. This is way back. This is like 08. And they're like, yeah, if they see you with those, they're gonna know you were there because like it was just some shit. I don't know who was telling me this. It's all just bringing back memories now. It's too funny. So this is another photo we're looking at, and yeah, Base Brooklyn is coming up again. Animal bike trips. So this looks like were you on this trip? Tour? Or?
Yeah, there was a Dew Tour contest. I think it was in Louisville, Kentucky. I guess it says 06. So in this picture is Edwin De La Rosa and Ralphie Ramos, 2 Base Brooklyn riders, OG New York City street riding legends. But yeah, that's how it was. Like back then, it was not so separated. If I wasn't a street rider, but Base Brooklyn sponsored trail riders and street riders. Like they had a shirt that said, from the hoods to the woods, from the hoods to the woods with a gun and a shovel.
Yeah.
And so these guys were street riders, and we got in a van and went down to Louisville to just hang out. And there was some antics along the way. So I guess there was 2 vans full of us. So we decided it'd be a good idea to get eggs and egg each other, have like egg war.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, van life is pretty sick. I've never really.
I'm kind of over. I mean, I'm in my 40s
now
so
maybe, but at the time it was probably pretty dope.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I never really did much touring, or I've done one road trip, and road trips are fucking awesome. But yeah, it looks like a really fun time.
Yeah, it's like you get in a
like
van, with like 8 dudes, and you're not gonna sleep for the entire time you're there.
We got another photo of James, young James Ruiz.
Yeah, it's funny because James never drank. I don't know if he does these days. I would guess that he probably doesn't. But it's kind of funny because we were at my friend's, a little gathering at my friend's backyard, and he picked up this little bottle of Jack Daniels and made a face like he's wasted, and he's obviously not.
It looks like it's still got like the seal on the lid.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
James, too funny. This one I wanted to bring up because this was a cool spot for me.
That's the porno ledge.
Oh my God!
I mean, if we get back to running if we get to a part about running an art studio, that will connect to that.
Right, dude. So this spot, I know exactly where this is now, and dude, what we called it porno ledge. Holy shit! Yeah, this was more of a BMX spot, but I definitely skated this a fair bit. And you were telling me before we started the show that this is where an old studio of yours was, and I guess you had a view of this spot.
Yeah, we were on our art studio was on the 2nd floor, and there was a door that went to the roof. So, and then the local BMX riders and skateboarders would hit this spot, and if I happened to walk out and be on the roof, I would see these guys riding outside.
Yeah, it looks like you got Whammo out here, clocking a clip.
Yeah, that's Craig Becerro stole the Whammo name.
Oh my God. And in this clip, this is
that's a spot it's more known for skateboarding.
Definitely no.
Yeah,
this is Rosalind Banks right here, super legendary. And then they got the bowl Rosalind Bowl right across the way. This spot was this was one of the first skate spot I ever went to for sure. Gino Inuachi, I'm fucking up his name. Gino, I think Steve or I saw Ramirez skating here, and right now what we're looking at is you flying over a fucking sedan.
Yeah, that's my old Honda Civic.
Oh my God. So tell me about this.
Yeah. So I guess my friend Smikey had a little kicker ramp, and it was literally 1 foot tall.
This thing looks janky, right?
Yeah, it was a tiny little kicker ramp, but I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like jump over my car.
Mm.
So I think I parked it like the short ways and like went over the hood, and then was like, well, let me see if I can go over the roof. And I think I did that, and then I was like, damn, it'd be really cool if I jumped the car the long way. And like, because you've been there, it's like that parking lot, you could start on one end and pedal as fast as you can.
Yeah, you can hoof it.
Yeah. So so I think Rearez took this photo. This one's like kind of old and grainy. There's video of this too. But yeah, it was basically just jumped over my old little 4-door Honda Civic the long ways off of a 1-foot kicker, and the Roslyn bank was a perfect landing.
Right. It's funny. You just got like a 9-second clip on YouTube. It's like just perfectly nice.
Oh yeah.
It's funny.
It was I made a BMX video, and it was in that video too.
So you just took the clip and put it solo. Yeah, that was pretty funny. This is
Steve.
There's Steve Radbecki. Shout out. This is a cool photo for me because I remember shit like this, chilling down, and this became a spot for a little bit. This ledge was pretty cool, and we would all like kind of like chill down here, park the car, listen to music, skate flat ground, and also skate the ledge. So yeah, I guess you were there too, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this particular day, I think I just parked my car and wanted to watch the sunset. And, I'm friends with Steve. I don't think he even knew I was there that day. I think he just happened to be doing his thing. And I shot that little photo, but I think it kind of sums up Seacliff. It's like Seacliff Beach is beautiful, and people just do their thing. And Stevie was doing his thing that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I chose this photo as well because I think I was there the same day, and I might have also gotten a clip of Steve doing a tray flip or something. We're just hanging out, shooting photos and shit. Let's see what we got next. All right, so we already brought this up, but Soups is short for Superfly.
Nice. Okay, so that also, so you did have a little backstory on that. Yep.
Yeah, and you got this whole big caption. Again, all these photos will be on the website, so you can go check them out and see what's up. But yeah, it's funny. So, do you remember how you like got interested in WWE, or was that like?
I think every male my generation, like I went to St. Boniface, and there was only the small classes. There was only 8 of us, 8 guys, 8 boys in that grade. But every single one of us was like fanatical about WWF.
Yeah. Okay. So excuse me.
Well, back then, I know that's what it was.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah.
No, for sure. It's like important to know that like back then it was a super.
It was huge. That was
huge thing culturally, just all of America.
It was like right when it blew up. Like WrestleMania 3 just happened. Hulk Hogan wrestled Andre the Giant in the Pontiac Silverdome, and it was the highest like indoor attendance record that was ever set. Like it was huge. WWF was so big back then. So that's what we were into.
Because what's interesting about WWF and this whole culture is that in a certain context, it's fake and it's rigged, but like some of it is real. And then I've even like followed this one story about a time where, it's not a fake or it's like a not a play. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically it was staged and it went off the rails and it became real. There's like a story of this happening.
I believe that for sure.
And anyway, so like, did you know as a kid that it was fake? And like, what drew you?
Not at first, because back then, like they kept it, like they wouldn't admit.
Right.
Before it was WWE Entertainment, it was WWF Federation.
Oh, so that's a big reason why they changed it to entertainment.
Yeah, they had to. At some point, they had to admit that it wasn't real. But like when we first got into it, we 100% as little kids believed that it was real.
Yeah, that definitely was like a big thing. Like even when I was growing up, like it was like a news story that Hulk Hogan had to go to court and be like, oh, like this is fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then at that moment, it was all so real. Like, oh, like it's fake. Like, I don't know. I just remember that being such a big thing. Pretty wild.
And like it was. I guess it turned out good. I mean, if you're gonna take the name Superfly and then you're gonna start jumping, dirt jumps, like it's a pretty good. It worked out pretty well because like having that nickname was kind of marketable back then
Hmm.
too. You know, like when I
Right.
started getting like flowed some product and some sponsors and stuff, like it looked cool to write that in the ad. You know.
Definitely. Did what is up with the motorcycles on the bottom of this photo?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just kind of random. I think what it say, my friend Paul found a bunch of crazy black velvet, blacklight posters in the garbage. I wonder if that was like that. I don't even remember which Paul that was.
Who's the Evil Knievel? That's the guy.
Yeah.
For some reason, Evil Knievel
In my
is
generation,
coming up.
in my generation, yeah.
Was Evil an inspiration to you?
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
of course. It was like the guy had dressed up like in that crazy American suit, and like everything he did was completely insane.
He's the OG badass.
Oh, yeah.
For motorcycle.
And it was doing it on Harleys without suspension.
exactly like
And they would set the whole thing up and then realize like it was set up wrong and like it wasn't going to work, but he committed to it and like the cameras are on and like he 100% knew he was going to eat shit
oh my
and
God.
get so messed up. And he was the people are here.
The people are here.
No, like, yeah, he did it. He hit that stuff like knowing that there was no way he was going to make it.
Oh my God, what a
Yeah.
legend.
Yeah, he definitely was a legend. He inspired a lot of BMX riders.
Fucking legend.
There we go. Johnny V.
Johnny V.
One of the all-time top bartenders.
Yep, here we are
Sequel
at
of legend.
Galleys.
Yep.
Oh man, that bar brings back so many
Yeah.
good times.
Yeah. I
Johnny
mean, it's good
V.
to, I guess it's good to not live. It can get old quickly too. You know?
Yeah.
You got to like stay away for a while, then come
Mm.
back. You know, you can't just be going there every single night or every weekend even, you know.
I remember his drink. He would give
The roulettes. A roulette.
with the lemon and
Yep.
the sugar and
Yep.
light it on fire.
Yep.
Dude, so classic.
Yep. That's his thing.
It's so good, man. Shout out Galleys. Dude, this tell me about. So you met Ron Jeremy? What the fuck? You guys are in. Looks like I think it says
We're in Hollywood. I'm on a trip with some of my friends, and the funny thing about this is, so my friend Wild Matt Shannon, who's on the far left, somehow had ran into Ron Jeremy before, and my friend Wild Matt is such a character. Like if you ever meet him, you will never forget him.
Wild Matt.
Yeah, Wild Matt Shannon.
He looks like a good dude.
He's a good dude, and he's same thing. Like he's broken his back like building BMX trails for just as long as I have. Yeah, so he's a Long Island legend. So somehow he runs into Ron Jeremy, meets Ron Jeremy, probably started like making fun of him and busting on him in a good way though, where like Ron Jeremy was probably like, this guy's making fun of me. All right, cool, like whatever, and like remembered him. So then, this is the first time I ran into him. But we're like, oh, what's up, Ron Jeremy? and Wild Matt has like this really thick South Shore accent, and he's like, hey, Ron, how's it going? And Ron Jeremy was like, oh, what's up, Matt? How you been? And we were like, wait, like you know him? He's, oh yeah, we go way back.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that was kind of funny because like you run into Ron Jeremy,
Yeah,
and
who the fuck knows Ron
your
Jeremy?
buddy had already met him. But yeah, in this picture too, Matt's also grabbing his dick. And
Dude, I think
Ron's not phased.
Not phased, as I'm sure he wouldn't be phased. But I think there's something to be said about like when you meet a celebrity, if you treat them as if they're not a celebrity, they love it. They
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
because 98% of the time people are like losing their shit and being like, oh my god, can I get a picture?
Yeah, man, and it's totally a turnoff because it's like, how do you it's not natural to interact like that.
No,
But so if you treat them like another person, like you're gonna have a real experience. Just makes it right. So in this next photo, we got yourself and another
John
homie.
Lynn.
So what's up with this? You guys are doing, it looks like a
So this was
reunion, or-
I think I was telling you this before the podcast started. So my friend Joe Doherty, aka Gromdad 2000 on Instagram, was in BMX for a long time, stepped away to focus on his family and his kids.
Oh, this story. Okay.
Then he came back in like 2014 and he put on this big fundraiser to raise money for another friend of ours who had a very severe injury. So during the fundraiser, he came up with all these different activities. So this is like a side hack bike. It's like a BMX bicycle with a little sidecar attached to it. And this actually was a thing in the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah. So like they had actual races like this in the 70s. So the main rider is the rider, and the guy on the side is called the monkey.
Mm.
And you can like use your foot to like push and scoot and stuff. But
Oh.
anyway, these bikes were all kinds of not right. Like they just didn't work right. And this is like really good way to get hurt. So
I'm
probably
sure.
like about 10 seconds after this photo was taken, we crashed, and I actually hit my head kind of hard.
Damn.
And bounced it off the asphalt turn. And the medic came over and was like, "Okay, you're done. You're not allowed to be on the track anymore. Like you hit your head."
God, dude, it's serious. Head injuries are no joke.
Oh yeah,
The more we learn about how gnarly it is to hit your head, you don't want to fuck around.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah. Like years ago, we weren't. No one wore helmets like at the trails.
Mm.
You know, maybe one guy would wear the helmet and we'd be like, "Oh, that's the weird guy that wears the helmet." And now
Yeah.
everyone wears helmets.
This makes sense,
Yeah.
dude. Just like
Like you were saying before too, like, you know, at my age, like I hit my head and have a head injury, that's it.
mm,
Like you're
yeah,
not gonna
you
you're
might
not gonna
have
get
a
that.
second shot.
Yeah. So like thankfully we're a little smarter in our older age, and like
Mm.
almost everyone at Kiko, there might be like one guy once in a while that doesn't, and then everyone will get on this case like, "Yo, come on."
Yeah.
Because it's not even always 100% like for that, you know, for that person's safety.
Mm.
It's like I've had to carry people out of trails before.
Yeah,
like
it's not,
unconscious.
It's not a cool thing.
Right. So
to,
like you crash and you knock yourself out and you're laying there, you're
Mm.
asleep, you don't have a care in the world,
mm.
but your friends now have to deal with it, you know?
Yeah, man, just wear a helmet.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Easier for everyone.
Oh, okay. Here we go. So this is a photo of looks like you commemorating 9/11, and so I kind of wanted to. This is something I didn't necessarily talk to you about in the beginning. I wanted to talk to you about your relationship with New York City, because like for me, I grew up in Long Island, North Shore, Seacliff, same as you. And I remember the first time I went to New York City by myself was special. Like my parents, like I think I was maybe in 6th grade, and my parents were like, "All right, you can go to the city by yourself." And that was a big fucking deal. Like they send me and my friends there on a train, LIRR. We had to figure out how to get there. We're going to ride skate spots. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was
It's
absolutely
probably,
wild.
Like it was probably this like a very similar experience, and probably very similar
Mm.
feeling for me. You know, like even though I come from a racing and trail riding background, you know, we did also like trying to ride on the streets, you know, and like did put pegs on
Mhm.
and did do some like little feeble grinds. And like I think one of the first times I rode my bike in the city was at the Brooklyn Banks,
Mm.
you know. But yeah, very similar, you know, and you know, like you, like living in Seacliff, Long Island, things are like a certain way, and then you go to the big city by yourself for the first time,
Yeah.
and it is like you're like, wow, like there's just so much going on, you know.
Mhm. It was just
yeah.
crazy, like thinking back, like I don't know if I could ever, when I would be ready to let my kids go to a city by themselves. You know,
Yeah.
like it's gnarly. It's like you have to deal with like the train and then the metro and then, you know, just like erratic,
And
just
also
irrational people. and,
it was also like not as like cleaned up and not as I
Oh.
feel like probably not as safe as it is now.
Definitely. No. I mean, for me, maybe it was relatively, when I went there by myself, I think it was post 9/11.
Yeah.
So shit has gotten a little more tight since then.
Oh yeah. After 9/11, it was like it's totally different. you
Yeah.
know? Like I think I posted this. I think it was 2 nights before 9/11. We were riding that part of Lower Manhattan,
Hmm.
and we were riding World Trade Center. We were riding down the stairs. We were like doing some feeble grinds on the
So I
ledges
guess
there.
that was a spot at
Oh,
the
yeah.
base of 9/11.
There was a
sorry,
lot.
the base of the World Trade Center
There
was
was a lot.
a spot.
All down there. I mean, Water Street,
Hmm.
like all the, you know, skate spots and BMX spots like overlap a lot.
Sure.
So yeah, that ledge right there in that photo, like a lot of people learned how to do that ledge because it was like it was low and it got higher.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I said, we were riding underneath the Twin Towers on I think like September 9th.
Hmm.
And it was a ghost town. There was no one around. I remember it was so quiet. Like that whole part, like at night back then, like the financial district, you know, if you went
Well, it
there,
shuts
like,
down because it's like a work zone.
Yeah,
You
there was
know, no
nothing-
one's there living.
yeah, there was
It's-
nothing going on. Like we rode underneath the Twin Towers for like an hour, and like no security, nothing. And then like it was literally like not even. It was 36 hours later.
Hmm.
that was it. Done. Everything was completely different.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So were you just like at home? Do you remember your story of like how you?
Yeah,
heard
I was
about it?
going to Nassau, and I remember eating cereal, sitting at the kitchen table, watching TV, turning on the TV, and seeing a hole in the first tower,
Right.
and then being like, "What the hell? Like this is kind of crazy." And then driving to Nassau, listening on the radio, and then by that time, the second tower got hit, and then was in class. I remember going to class, and it was like a communications class, and so we were talking about like oral communication and just different forms of communication.
Hmm.
And no one else in the entire class, I guess, no one listened to the radio or watched TV before they got there. No one was mentioning it, and I was just sitting there like the only person, I guess, that knew what was going on. And like the teacher asked some weird question. I'm like, does anyone want to talk about the World Trade Center? And I remember the teacher being like, oh, I think I said like the attack on the World Trade Center. And like the teacher said something like, oh, in like 1993. And I'm like, no, now, like now,
today,
like today. And then I think someone had there might've been like one girl with a cell phone or a beeper. I don't know, something. Because back then,
Yeah,
you know,
this is
people,
2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no smartphones.
and then
by
someone
any-
else, one other person said they knew something about it. And then it started getting around, and then it was talking about it. And by the time class ended and I walked back to my car and turned on the radio, both towers had fallen.
Right,
So,
right. Crazy. That's an interesting.
yeah, I mean, it's like your whole outlook on what you know just completely changes, you know?
Yeah, man. Pretty wild. I was in fourth grade. I don't remember it as well
Yeah.
as that. I just remember I was in math class. Principal came in, said this happened, and then like some students left early. You know, like they have parents maybe
Yeah.
in the buildings, and I just remember one friend's parents told me like, "You're never gonna forget this day."
Yeah.
I definitely do remember going home, watching it on the news, like seeing all this stuff. Pretty wild, and it just you're there 2 days before it happened.
Yeah, like
That's
36 hours before.
like interacting with
right-
the
yeah.
buildings.
I mean,
the
we had
space.
Yeah,
like,
we had ridden there, you know, many times before, and it was just that whole downtown area was a cool place just to even pedal around.
Right.
You know, even if we weren't doing stuff, it was just
mm,
cool to be there. It had like a weird energy, and yeah, 36 hours later, completely different.
pretty wild. Here we go. Here's the moped.
Yeah,
the
there's a scooter,
Yeah,
The,
shout out Scooter Life.
the Honda 80 Elite.
Honda 80 Elite.
Kind of a funny story about the scooter.
Yeah.
So it was my friend Brian Bunce. It was
Bunce.
Yeah, Bunce.
I know. I've
Oh, yeah?
heard the name Bunce. He had like some crazy car. Like he was into Stingrays or some shit. No,
Maybe his brother.
maybe his brother. Yeah.
Yeah, the El Camino.
Oh yeah.
El Camino truck.
Maybe that. Either way. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Brian Bunce, his
Bunce.
ex-girlfriend had this scooter, and she brought it to Seacliff, and we all rode it. And I was like, "This thing is awesome." I'm like, "Damn, I want to get one of those one day."
Mm.
And then I guess they broke up, and she went to France, and somehow the scooter got left in Seacliff, and then it was at his parents' house, and his dad was like, "Get this thing out of here!" And then he got a real motorcycle, so he's like, "Hey, do you want the scooter?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I want the scooter!" So like, this scooter was awesome. Like I remember riding it around before it was mine, and
Mm.
somehow like the universe just worked out where like that scooter got given to me, but also it was his ex-girlfriend's, but it was registered in her ex-stepfather's name.
Mm.
So like the title was missing, and I had to like register it in Vermont, and like yeah, there was all I had to get it running again. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty fun to ride around town on. And
Yeah, dude.
Some people might make fun of me, but I don't care.
Oh fuck them.
I know exactly. It's fun, man.
Dude, scooters are rad. I
Yeah.
totally back scooters.
Yeah.
Totally back scooters. So this photo, it looks like a throwback of a magazine,
Yeah.
and I thought it was cool to maybe bring up, you know, the fact that you were in a magazine. It looks like, do you have dreads in that?
Yeah, I
photo?
had dreads. I had dreads a whole bunch of times.
Oh shit!
Yeah, back
Similar
in
to Catfish. Catfish rocks the dreads.
Yeah, I mean, I think mine were a little bit better than his. His are kind of funky.
His are gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got like some Rasta
Yeah,
shit.
he's a strange cat.
All right, so
Yeah, I had dreads like 3 different times. I had like I'd get them like, you know, grow them out for like 3 or 4 years. They'd
wow.
be pretty long, and then I'd cut them
Okay.
and then grow them over again. But yeah,
Mm.
This was, I think, Snap Magazine. They did an East Coast trails trip. And I was lucky enough to tag along on this trip. And some of these other guys are much better bike riders than myself. Tim Fuzzy Hall, Matt Berenger, Josh Stricker, and of course, Mike Aiken. One of the all-time best bike riders ever. And so they did like a little bio thing, and we all got to write our experiences of what happened on the trip, and then they kind of mashed it together into the story.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah, so like this, when I posted this to Instagram, it was probably like trails weren't running because it's the middle of the winter, and I wanted some content. So it's always easy to do like a hashtag FBF or FBF, Flashback Friday, or what's the Tuesday one?
Throwback Thursday.
Throwback Thursday. Sorry, yeah.
Dude, too funny. Yeah, it's cool to document like what's happened. Throughout your life.
Yeah, and these guys were all pros, and I was like, I guess an all right rider that was lucky enough to be able to tag along.
Dude, that's awesome. Let's see what else we got. Oh, Watkins Glen.
Yep.
I want to bring this up because I've been to Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
And I think New York has a lot of hidden gems that like people don't know about. This is upstate, like far up. But what brought you to Watkins?
I like to travel, and like you said, New York does have hidden gems. Like I think I've traveled to some far off, hard to get to places, but then this too is like 5 hours upstate.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, and it's I remember going there as a little kid, and my parents taking me there, and I remember it was kind of cool, but also didn't have the same appreciation that I have for it as an adult. So me and my girlfriend Chrissy, like maybe about 5 years ago. No, not 5 years ago. When was this? 122 weeks ago. So that's what Instagram says.
Yeah.
So a little over 2 years ago, I guess we decided to do like a quick little trip. But also too, I was like, I need to get some photos of, like the cool bridge and the waterfall and stuff without any people in them. So I think we got a hotel over there, and I remember as soon as like it was like maybe like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I think the park opened at like 6:30 or something, and I was just like, we're going right now, like we're gonna be the first ones in there, because like I want to take a picture, and if there's one person in that picture, it's gonna ruin it.
Ruins the photo.
Yeah.
What's really cool about this spot is like the layers with that the water is carved out.
Yeah.
It's just a super unique spot. I don't know, like it seems like it couldn't possibly be New York. That's what I think is super cool about that spot. Super well.
Also, another thing about that was I brought my Canon camera, and I went to take it out of the bag, and I don't know, something happened where it was switched on by accident, and the battery was dead.
Oh my God!
So I'm like, I took my, and I don't consider myself a professional photographer. I'm like, I have like 3 lenses, and I know a little bit, and I like to mess around, but I drove all the way up there, and then I made a mistake of having dead battery. So I was like, I guess it's going to be iPhone photos, which in this day and age doesn't really, iPhone cameras are also really
very
good.
viable. We'll get the job done for sure. For sure. Another one, we got the Roslyn pool.
No, that's Paulie's pool.
Okay. I was about to say.
Paul Savikovich's pool.
That's in his backyard? Is he in Seacliff?
His old house in Seacliff. They have since sold it.
Was that pool?
Yeah, that was on Carpenter.
Right next to Seacliff School.
Yes.
Dude, was that a party house, or like what was up with that house?
A party house. Paulie did do some partying.
Because maybe it was only one time I saw it. There was a lot of people there. Like I was in early middle school or something, and maybe he was like even out of high school at that point. And it looked like it was like a party house. I don't know like what it was. I didn't know what the deal was. It was confusing to me.
It's
just whatever. It was Paulie's
No,
house.
it's kind of funny because Paulie was interviewed for the BMX in Our Blood podcast, my friend's podcast. And like he touched on all this, like growing up in Seacliff.
Yeah.
And he was allowed to like, get a little bit loose and do whatever. And like, his parents were, they're awesome people and they're good parents, but also sometimes like things got a little bit loose at his house,
So drained a pool and skated
no,
it?
they drained the pool and they were going to paint it. And Paulie's like, yo, the pool's empty. Like we can come ride it. And I'm like, all right, really? Is that cool? Like your parents they're cool with that? Everything's good? And he's like, yeah, no problem. So then like we rode the pool. Ruiz took some pictures, and then his dad found out, and his dad was livid.
Oh my!
And then if
God.
like you read the comments too on this picture, like I wrote on here like, yo, I follow his dad on Instagram, like at Peter Civic. And he was like, he was not stoked this day, and even he commented on it.
No,
he's like, no, I wasn't. Yeah. So yeah, that was Paulie's pool in Seacliff.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude, that's a super sick looking pool. I really thought it was Roslyn Pool for a second. Now I can see like it doesn't curve in necessarily the same way.
Yeah, with no graffiti. With no graffiti.
Yeah, that's why I was confused as well.
Yeah,
I was wondering if this was maybe way back in the day.
No, that's Paulie's pool in Seacliff.
All right. Yeah. Interesting. This one I wanted to bring up because it looked like you went to South Africa.
Yeah, I'm sure you could relate in China.
Yeah, having to deal with like different outlets and shit like that. And this is way back when you had like probably like OG iPod.
Mm-hmm.
What was South Africa like?
Awesome. So BMX has, my time in BMX, I end up, meeting people from all over the world. I'm sure the same with you with skateboarding.
Yeah.
So I think in the year 2000, that same contest where I'm at South Street Seaport, building the dirt jumps and riding, I met this guy named Toby who lives in South Africa, in Cape Town, and he's a screen printer and same as me, and an old school BMX guy. So he had said, like, if you ever want to come to South Africa, like, you're more than welcome to come and stay with me. So that was in 2000. And then like, I think it was 2010, we kept in touch over Facebook. And finally I was like, yeah, like I want to go.
You got to make it out there.
So 2010 was the first time that I went, and awesome guy, completely took care of me. Like I stayed at his house. They cooked me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I worked in the screen printing shop to, have a little bit of side money for beers and stuff. It's awesome. But yeah, so this picture, I have an old school iPod, and you had to like put in like 3 different converters to make everything work.
Were you riding much down there, or did
on this trip? Yeah, I brought my BMX bike and I rode. I was actually riding around. They're using it more for transportation.
How is that traveling with the bike?
It sucks. It's a hassle, man.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to do it. I have a hockey bag with wheels on it. So it has to be under a certain weight and under certain dimensions in measurements. And so you have to take it apart.
So at least there is a way to break it down to maybe like an affordable, like not oversized bag fee.
Yeah.
Because for surfboard, I have a surfboard and I have to always pay like an oversized fee.
Yeah.
Like unavoidable.
Yep. Well, they try to get you like if it's not even oversized, but if the airline finds out that there's a bicycle in the bag, it's automatically $100 each way.
Fuck.
So imagine like you go on a trip and you get caught both ways. That's extra $200. Luckily, I mean, if I've flown with my bike 20 times, I only got bagged once. And it was because the people I was traveling with were stupid. And like one guy didn't know what to say and like opened it up and was like, oh yeah, it's a bike. Like, no, you idiot, you say it's bike parts. And like you put them in 2 different, back then we used to split it up. Like it's not a complete bike if some of it's in one bag and some of it's in another bag.
Wow, tricky.
Yeah. But the hockey bag is, now there's bike companies that manufacture parts that they sell specific bags.
Interesting.
Yeah. They even have one that says it's a DK golf bag. So it says golf on it because they don't charge you extra for golf clubs.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. So
what a loophole.
Yeah.
Because I also heard once that like I thought there was like encouragement, incentive to actually bring a bike, because like
I have
think
to
about
Europe.
it, you're doing maybe to Europe.
Yes, I've traveled to Europe,
and they encourage riding bikes.
I've called ahead and they've said, you have one free bag, but you can use a bicycle as that.
Yeah.
And I haven't even had to take it apart and put it in a bag.
Right.
Like, take the air out of the tires, turn the handlebars sideways, take the pedals off. So it's just like
as convenient as can be.
Yeah.
Or like,
but you kind of get used to it. I mean, I can take the bike apart and put it in the hockey bag in 10 minutes and put it back together.
Yeah, once you know the
minutes.
tricks.
Yeah, you take off the front wheel, the back wheel, the pedals, the seat, and the handlebar stem, comes off, and then you pull the forks out, put like a sock over the bearings so everything like stays together. You kind of get like a routine.
Maybe you can make a YouTube tutorial for this.
Yeah, I put like it was on my Instagram story. I put an Instagram story on it. Yeah.
That's the problem with Instagram stories is they're gone after 24 hours.
Yeah, but maybe that's good because then the airline can't go back and catch on, right?
Maybe. Yeah. Good point. What else do we got? All right. So I know this is towards the end, so I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience more about your t-shirt company and your printing company and like how they could maybe get in touch with you if they wanted to get something printed.
Yeah, I mean, so this picture is Scooby-Doo dog waste removal. So a local company in Glen Cove. Friends with the owner. He's a pretty funny guy. He actually has a YouTube channel and does a bunch of like crazy stuff too. But yeah, I screen print pretty much for local businesses. So yeah, getting in touch with me, probably you can hit me up through Instagram, which is just Super BMX, SUPER BMX. Or you can email me, superbmx1@optonline.net. That's probably the easiest ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that's that you need. If it's super complicated and you're a crazy person and you want like 12 shirts with 5 colors on the front and 5 colors on one sleeve and the back and stuff, and I'll probably be like, nah, I don't really want to do that for you. But if it's like a reasonable job, then yeah, that's what I do.
Awesome. Let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, that's the end of the Instagram lurk that I got going on. So before we wrap up, I was wondering, do you got any more projects coming up for the future? Trips, printing jobs or
next future trip is Puerto Rico. So yeah, I've been working like crazy, just trying to, avoid the winter. So yeah, work all year long, try to save up a whole bunch of money. And I've been to Puerto Rico like 5 times. I got a few friends down there. I love it down there. It's a good break. So that's going to be all of January. I found a good deal on an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment with a little kitchen for $1,000 a month. And then I got some friends flying in and out different days. So that'll be all of January. Then I'll come back here in February, catch up with some work and anything else I have to do over here. And then the next thing is I've never been to Southeast Asia. So, obviously going to ask you like what your suggestion would be to like, first time over there. But I think that's going to, that will probably be March. I'm moving out of the current place that I'm living in. So I feel like it's always a good time to travel. Like if you're paying rent somewhere and you're going to move out, and before you start paying rent somewhere else, that's a really good time to go on like an extended trip for like say a month.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Nice.
I moved out of my place in Shanghai, put it all in my girlfriend's spot.
Yeah.
And then I'm taking like 2 months off. And then when I get back, I'll find a new spot.
Yep.
It's like exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. So like I have in the studio here, I got fortunate enough to have a lot of space.
Yeah. You got a ton of space.
Yeah. So I can, simplify my life a whole bunch, put everything in here. And then until I have a spot when I come back, just going to travel for a little bit.
Hell yeah. Soups. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
Thanks for having me on it, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right. Bye, guys. Boom. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this podcast valuable, there are many ways you can support it. You can rate and review it on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. You can share it with your friends, you can blog about it, or discuss it on your own podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to this channel and like the video. Or you can support it directly. You can do this by going to my website. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you for supporting the show. Listeners like you make it possible. Also, if you enjoyed the intro and outro music, it was made by my brother, Danny Greenberg. You can go and check out his beats at soundcloud.com/estoric. ESTORIC. Okay, that's it for now. Peace.